The sniper team was going to go out and set up an OP in the district center, like we told them not to. They step on an IED. 5 out of 6 of them are messed up, bad. QRF goes out. They get blown up. Vehicle down. Second QRF goes out. They freaking push past, hit another IED, and they're, called us up like, hey, recon, can you, augment us? We were pissed off because we're getting ready to go home soon. When we got there, the first sergeant, he's like, dude, staring off in the freaking no man's land, right? Combat ineffective. He's like, hey, first sergeant, why don't you get on the fucking truck, right? He's like, yeah, I'll get on the truck. And we went and rescued these guys. We marked over 30 IEDs to get to these guys, triaged them, and pulled them out of there. And the next day, or day after, they did a memorial service for the Marine who died. That first sergeant, that guy's got a freaking Bronze Star. He's the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He's got a Bronze Star with a V from that deployment. And we put him on the truck.
Do you have a theory as to why, even in combat fighting U.S. military units, it's still very hit and miss for good leaders?
Yeah, so...
When hunting isn't about hunting at all. Team Dog features comprehensive and customizable meal plans with dry and raw food options to meet your dog's unique nutritional needs, including digestive sensitivities, allergies, or selective eating. Did you know combining 75% dry food with 25% raw food delivers robust, nutrient-dense meals for your dog? Be your dog's hero with Team Dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He was a Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant, spent more than 17 years in infantry, recon, and Force Recon units. He was medically retired in 2017. He got the Navy Com with Valor and a Purple Heart. He's also the president and founder of the Reason Outdoors, which is a nonprofit that supports mental and emotional well-being of veterans, first responders, and their families through ecotherapy-based outdoor programs. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Ryan Kuperus.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. Such an interesting story, doing the research for the notes and questions and stuff. And I've seen a couple clips of you on some other shows, and just can't thank you enough for taking the time to come here. I guess you got a Coyote Hunt or something going on.
Tomorrow night, hopefully.
Yeah. Where about? Just South Texas or?
Out near Burleson area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Somewhere out there.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. Is that part of the nonprofit that you do, or is that just a side trip?
No, that'll be, I pro staff for a company called Yote Drags, and we have a big group thread on Instagram, so I just threw on there. If anyone's around, Fort Worth area Friday night and want to do some coyote and hog hunting, let me know. And a guy hit me up and he's like, all right, let's see if we can make this happen. So I brought the old killing hat with me, and we'll see what we do.
I imagine you use either nods or scope night vision.
Thermals.
Thermal. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you use, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now I'm using a AGM Adder V2 5640.
Oh, okay.
And their Reach IR handheld scanner.
Do you have a go-to rifle? I know it depends on the game, but is there one that you find yourself using more than the rest?
I've been on a bolt gun kick the last couple of years,
really?
And I've been using a 6mm Creedmoor that my buddy Lee at Stumpy's Custom Guns built me.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's my do-all bolt gun.
Yeah, Stumpy Guns.
What's that?
Stumpy is the company?
Stumpy's Custom Guns, yeah.
Is that, I imagine, like a full custom build? It's not using a base of a brand, or how do they do it?
It was, so he has Actions white label. This one actually is an Aero Precision Solus Action with a Shaw titanium sleeve barrel on it.
Oh, okay.
So,
are you a Accuracy International guy? Are you fans of theirs?
I am fans of theirs. I don't have any because I don't have enough money to buy them.
Yeah. I guess, this is not really my realm. I obviously shot in the teams, but I'm not into guns probably as much as a lot of guys are. I don't do, a ton of hunting and stuff, mostly just because of my schedule. But I am curious if, kind of from a bang, for your buck, do you think it's worth the hype and it's warranted?
I don't. So me and my buddy Jim Gillen, we just had this talk last week. If you're a new hunter, you could go out and buy a Ruger American and be shooting sub-MOA groups all day with it. Chassis for them are pretty cheap. You don't need a lot to get started in the hunting game. Inevitably, especially for guys like us, we chase
Everything.
Accuracy, speed.
Yeah. It's 3 grams lighter.
Right, yeah, all that stuff. So once you start down that hole, like you might start with that Ruger American, but next thing you know, you're like looking at custom builds and, what bullet's faster and what am I hunting? Coyotes, hogs, deer, all of it, what works best. It's a disease, really.
Yeah. Do you use the Creedmoor for most things?
I do, yeah.
Even big stuff, like do you do elk hunts and stuff?
I do elk hunts. So for elk hunts, I've used 300 PRC in the past. I have a 7 backcountry getting built by Shaw Barrels right now for me.
Oh, wow.
That's round just hit the market a couple years ago.
Yeah. I guess we're diving right into ballistics and guns and stuff, but since that's a big part of what you do, I'm very curious about it, and I'd like to get more into it than I am, I think. But 300 Win Mag seem to always be kind of the gold standard. Is the 6 or 6.5 Creedmoor round? Do you think I've always heard that it's flatter and it's easier to shoot. Would you agree with that? Or
the 6.5 PRC? I know guys who've shot elk with 6.5 Creedmoors. Can you do it? Absolutely. There's some new ammo that's going to be coming out on the market pretty soon. That's basically going to make that like a 6.5 PRC essentially in a Creedmoor case with that new case technology. So that's super exciting. I wouldn't shoot an elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor. I'd go with a 6.5 PRC myself. 300 Win Mag, you can't go wrong with it. Yeah. Guys are still killing all kinds of game, 2-legged and 4-legged with it. So you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. It seems like it's easier to find ammo, and I imagine cheaper. I don't know, maybe not, but it's just, it's been such a tried and true round for so long. It seems like kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if money were no object, what gun would you get?
Oh man, if money was no object, I would probably. That's a toughie. I would probably stick with a 6mm Creedmoor.
Yeah.
Because I could take an elk down with that. That just right now is my personal favorite. I'd probably go with I'm trying to think of what action. I'm having a brain fart right now. Who does Stumpy's use? Probably Kelby action or True Bore.
Yeah.
I do a Shaw Barrel. They've taken care of our nonprofit, and I really like their products a lot. Their titanium sleeve barrel, if you think about a proof barrel, it's basically that, but sleeved in titanium, which gives me a more warm and fuzzy, especially in the backcountry and stuff like that. And like my guns get treated like tools, so they get beat on pretty hard.
Yeah.
Chassis-wise, I'd probably go with the MDT carbon fiber. We've been working on a new chassis project with Sabre Tactical. That chassis is really nice. I'd probably go with that chassis, actually. To me, it's not so much as the money issue, because you can make like I said, you can get a sub-MOA gun for like a very good price these days, right off the shelf. More would be what optic am I going to put on it? That would be the big thing.
Yeah.
Glass, thermal. I don't have that much nice like daytime glass because a lot of my money's wrapped up in thermals for myself, clients, or guys that hunt with us with the nonprofit. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pistol-wise, do you carry most places?
I do.
Yeah. Do you have a go-to EDC gun?
I do. Right now, I've been carrying the new Taurus TX9. And people are going to laugh about that. I can already hear the giggling. But yeah, they're great guns. Yeah. I was talking to the marketing gal at SHOT Show. One of their sales guys bear hunted with me last year, and when I was at SHOT, I was like, "Hey, do you want me to use this pistol in a 2-gun competition next month?" And she was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you one." So I've been carrying it, using it for a $350 duty gun.
Yeah.
Trigger's great off the shelf, accurate. I've only had one malfunction. It was a bad primer. And if I did burn somebody down with it and I never got that gun back, it wouldn't hurt my feelings, So I've been carrying that. Before that I was carrying a 320.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
No problems with that, huh?
Man, we could go down that. I had no problems.
Yeah.
I find it funny that all the guys hemming and hawing about the 320. Number one, unless I see a video of the federal firearms instructor with a great reputation, right, that has never ND'd ever in his life, right, which, there's those who have and those who will have an ND, right? Let's hope it's downrange.
Yeah.
But unless I saw a video proving that he didn't touch anything, I find it remarkable the amount of hatred by people who still carry Series 70 1911s.
Yeah.
Knowing that if you drop a Series 70, there's a good chance it's going to go off.
Yeah.
Right. But these guys are smack talking SIG, and all new guns have problems from time to time, right? And the kinks are worked out. As soon as the Air Force thing happened, I knew that dude shot the guy. I'm like, that guy shot him. Like that. Yeah. That's like that. That's what went down. But
yeah, I mean, I do wonder how much of that is rabbit hole, or not even rabbit hole, but just like the wildfire spreading of one guy heard one thing and people run with it. But
yeah,
I mean, I carry a 365 most of the time, and I love that gun.
Yeah, I like the 365 too. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. What's the last book that you read?
The last book I read was called Wolf of the Plains. It's part of the Khan Dynasty series of books. It's about Genghis Khan.
Oh, really?
From when he was born and all the way through Kublai Khan.
Oh, wow.
I've actually read it like twice before, and I'm just decided it's like one of those books that I'll just go back to.
Yeah. Is there a singular takeaway from it?
Yeah. One of the takeaways is that although he was ruthless, he was the first conqueror, because he wasn't really an emperor. He was the first conqueror that allowed any race, any religion into the Mongol nation as long as they were loyal to him, like he commanded loyalty. And that can't be said for a lot of, conquerors or emperors back in the day.
Yeah.
Especially then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fascinating part of history. No two ways about it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh, man. I actually like the quote you have on the wall out there that says, choke yourself.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Good old Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. A favorite quote right now.
No is an acceptable answer also, but people will try to think of it if they don't have one.
I don't have one I can just spit at you. There's probably I go through like phases with quotes. There's one that sticks out to you for a month or so, or maybe a little longer, and then you're on to the next one.
Yeah, maybe start tattooing them on you every time you get a new one, and
I know people that do that.
Cover your whole body in fucking passages.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to do growing up?
Favorite thing to do growing up was play sports and get out in the woods.
Yeah. And you're from upstate New York, right?
I am, yep.
What sports did you play?
Played football, basketball, lacrosse were my primary ones.
Yeah.
I played a bunch of other ones growing up, soccer, baseball, all that. But when I transitioned to high school, it was football, basketball, and lacrosse.
Yeah. Were any of those three standouts, and to the point where like you thought that maybe you'd do it past high school, or?
Yeah, football. I was a standout, I would say, because I was first team all region, and I played in the Eddie Meath All-Star game before I joined the Marine Corps. Basketball was kind of my stay in shape sport. It took me from 5th grade to my senior year to start like the last 9 games of my senior year.
Nice.
So
were you as tall then as you are now?
I was, yeah.
That doesn't hurt, I imagine.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. And then lacrosse. I was a standout in lacrosse too, and I actually got out of the Marine Corps for a little bit and did the reserves and played lacrosse in college.
Nice. Yeah. Siblings wise, and just kind of the general dynamic of your childhood, how would you describe that?
Got 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. My next youngest brother, Henry, he and I were very close because we're only like 18 months apart. My next younger brother, Dave, he was in the Navy also. He was a Submariner, which is insane, by the way.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it.
He's like, you're crazy for jumping out of airplanes. I'm like, dude, you're crazy for going in this tin can to the bottom of the ocean. Like,
for 3 months at a time.
Yeah. The three of us were typical brother fight stuff. My younger brother, Dave, he had a particular attitude, so sometimes I would drop him off on the side of the road and make him start walking home. That happened.
The father treatment.
Yeah. But, and then our younger sister, she was way younger than all of us, so she got the special treatment.
Oh, I imagine only girl and the baby. That's a good combo.
Yeah.
What did your parents do?
My dad was a farmer. My mom was a nurse. Now my mom runs a very large medical transportation business in upstate New York called Ameritrans. My dad is like a vice president, like head dispatcher at a huge road construction firm.
Oh, nice.
So
Would you say growing up on a farm would characterize your childhood in terms of like child labor and chores and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's tough to beat, man. Like, I'm from Iowa, where that's a pretty common thing, and it's just such a good way to raise kids, I think.
It is.
Was there any significant moments in your childhood that really impacted your decision-making process to join the military, or just in general?
Growing up, I always kind of figured that I'd be a farmer. My dad would tell you stories for days about me. As soon as I could get out there, he had me out there. Cows would kick me and launch me across the aisle into the gutter. So I always thought I was going to be a farmer. And one of our helpers died when I was probably 12, third grade, I want to say. And so I found myself milking 75 cows or more, a lot. And it didn't bother me, the work. As I got older, I realized that for us to have the farm that I wanted to have, that I believed that we could have, it would take a few $1 million to rehab the farm, put a parlor in, because we had a stanchion barn, so you got to move the machines down. We would have to put in a parlor. We would have to figure out, actually the guy who bought our farm figured out that the water had some bacteria in it that were making our cows sick. So my dad used to be the best farmer. I was born in New Jersey, and he had a reputation for being an awesome farmer. He has trophies, amazing, herd of cows, and we moved to New York, and all those cows died within a year of us moving up there.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And for a guy who started his own farm at the age of 17, to have his prize-winning herd die, that's a huge blow for
no doubt
a man.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And then
That'd put you out of business too.
Yeah, and the year that Bill died, my dad took that very hard because it was his best friend, and that guy was a mechanical genius.
Was it like an accident or did
snowmobile accident?
Oh man.
And nowadays, with all the advances in medicine and stuff like that, that TBI or the brain bleed he could have lived through it now.
Yeah,
but
tough.
back then, he didn't. So that took a lot out of my dad, and we could never get the cows to produce the amount of milk that we needed. And back then, the milk price was not sustainable unless you're milking a few thousand cows. 120, I think that's what we maxed out at. We're milking 120 cows 3 times a day. So there'd be times I'd be out there at midnight milking cows. I just realized that we would need to do that. My dad asked me straight up my junior year, was like, hey, do you want to go into business with me and farm? And I said, no. And he was like, what are you going to do? I said, probably join the Army. Probably join the Army. That was it for me. I didn't like school. Knew that if I went to college that I would just party and fail out. So I was like, I'm just going to join the military.
Was that a big blow, another blow for him, or was he understanding of that?
It actually wasn't. We were kind of my parents were down last weekend, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, and it wasn't as huge a blow as I thought it was going to be. because he was like, all right, well, we're going to sell the cows. We sold the cows, then we sold the farm, and then my parents bought a butcher shop, so we went from milking them to butchering them.
Yeah.
Probably why smells never bothered me when I was in the Marine Corps or anything like that. But and then so it was just a transition into another very difficult job, and I still milked cows for my uncle and threw hay bales and did all that stuff till I graduated.
Yeah.
So.
And you joined right after high school?
Yeah. In August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why the shift from the Army to the Marines?
Honestly, because the recruiter was pushy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my best friend were like, all right, let's, Army Rangers or something like that. Like, that sounds good. Not really knowing anything.
Yeah.
And honestly, and he came over and he's like, I can get you to the MEPS tomorrow. Like, let's go. And we're like, man, like, beat it, nerd.
It's not a race.
Yeah, right. Like, we're just figuring out our options here. And probably within a couple days, the Marine recruiters were in the stinking cafeteria and we're like, those uniforms are awesome.
Yeah.
The recruiters were super cool. And I'm sure we made that guy's life really miserable, though. He was probably like, please just let these guys make it to boot camp and through boot camp. But yeah, so that literally was the reason why.
Wow. And it was a fairly fast track to join once you graduated.
Yeah.
If you could kind of walk us through the chronological timeline of your career, and I'm sure there'll be parts where we kind of deviate, but.
Yeah, went to boot camp in August of 2000, down Paris Island. Did that, School of Infantry.
One thing about boot camp, I am curious, because Marine boot camp has such a kind of notoriety to it, expectation versus reality. What were your thoughts on once you were in it?
I kind of had like the Full Metal Jacket like mentality, right? I was like, all right, this is what I'm prepared for, and I just watched that movie like a month ago with my daughter, and she was like, is it really like that? I'm like, kind of. They don't hit you. They're not supposed to hit you, or whatever. But
they don't hit you, or they're not supposed to hit you?
Not in the early 2000s, dudes
they weren't supposed to.
They were not supposed to, but they may, you might have gotten, tagged in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, so I was kind of prepared for that. And I mean, they still curse you out and were in your face. Like when a little skinny dude is spitting dip spit in your face, right at some pitch that ungodly, like how's this little man so freaking loud? And why is he spitting dip spit in my face? Right. Like just stare at the wall, just stare at the wall. But it was kind of what I expected it to be. Sometimes not as hard as I thought it was going to be, but the military in general and the Marine Corps especially, they have this like real uncanny ability to put these goofy and unrealistic expectations on you. Like if you don't do this right now, you're going to fail. And then you're going home, right? There's only two ways to leave this island, only two ways, right? Graduate, right? Or like you're medically effed and you're out of here, the only way is like graduate, and anything could be like a test. And they get you stressed out over nothing. You're like, not a big deal. PFTs, not a big deal. Just go out there and, do the dang thing. Yeah. Don't get shin splints. Don't get stress fractures. Like that's what messes people up. And for me, I never put two and two together. I mean, I guess why I was a good Marine, because I'm, we're not the sharpest knives in the drawer, from time to time. But I'm like, probably only a couple years ago, I'm like, why was I ever worried about stress fractures? I grew up on a farm. I wore rubber boots every day, or work boots, and I walked all over the place. Like for guys who've never worn, combat boots or work boots, it's a culture shock. But for me, it was like, whatever, right? They're boots. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why but they get you worried about that stuff. You're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't, okay, shin splints, not stress fractures, like they get you worried about the weirdest stuff.
Yeah. All the mind game.
Yeah.
I imagine you were 0300 then if you went to school of infantry.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to do, or?
Yeah. I wanted to be an infantryman.
Yeah.
It was like the bravado, like first fight, like I want to go kill people. And it was pre 9/11, so there was no war going on. So like, a very immature mindset, but still it's like, yeah, we're going to go kill people. We're going to slay bodies.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And so you go through that, and then where were you stationed first?
I was stationed with 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines on Camp Lejeune.
And I imagine you did the initial invasion into Iraq, or?
I did. So we were one of the first deployments out after 9/11. We went out February of 2002.
To Afghanistan?
Yeah, I wish. So I was a trailer for the Force Recon platoon on that deployment, which is immediately like let me know that I need to get out of the grunts. I took the long path out because, those dudes ruled the roost, so to speak. We were out on Masira as QRF for ops going down in Afghanistan. And like when I read the book Relentless Strike, I was reading it and I'm like, dang, that's when we were there. And I called my buddy Kevin, my best friend, because he was in the Force platoon at the time. Then he and I were in platoons together for a long time. And I was like, dude, we were legit almost QRF for. He's like, I told you that we were. But I'm like, dude, I'm a young Lance Corporal, E3, crunchy. That's just like the Force Recon guys. Could be like, hey, go over there and do our laundry. Like, roger that, But yeah, so we stood up and down for some, QRF missions. Didn't get to do anything. Went into Djibouti a couple times. Set the record for most consecutive days on ship since World War II, which is like 147, 149, something like that. Yeah, terrible.
We did 63, I think, right after the Cole got bombed.
Yeah.
And that felt like 2 years. I can't even imagine 100.
When you're on your second, Steel Beach, and you're getting 2 beers up there on the flight deck, but then when you do that 4 times, dang.
That's brutal.
But after that, then after that deployment, we went to the invasion.
Yeah. Where did you go, and what was your route, I guess? Because I was there also with SEAL Team 3, and we were with the entire 1st Marine Division for different parts. We were with the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit for a small time and down in Nasiriyah, and then we're with the whole 1st Marine Division moving all the way up north. Were you in that same crew?
So we probably went right past you.
Wow. That's wild.
So my platoon, we called it the Bastard Platoon because anytime that somebody from the company needed to get detached, it was us. For that, thankfully, the rest of our company was doing camp guard at Camp Commando in Kuwait, and we flew in with Echo Company attached to them for the invasion. Thank goodness. But we were I don't even know how you want to explain it. We were like the bastard battalion of the invasion, I feel like, because it was you're always looking for somebody to fight, to an operation to run. We were very good friends with the sniper platoon, and since they were kind of attached to Echo Company and we were too, we became better friends with them. We drove right past Nasiriyah, right? We're like, oh look, there's waving, there's Nasiriyah, there it goes. Fighting's going on. We just completely bypassed it.
Yeah. That's right when we were there.
Yeah. So and I'm like, could we just stop in there, so we can shoot some people, please? We did some airfield security about 15 miles south of Baghdad. We did security of some ASPs. We did whatever we were tasked to do, basically. Didn't get to shoot very many rounds. Didn't get into very many gunfights. Got the day the invasion started, when we were still at Commando, got hit by the camp seersucker hit probably 100 yards away from us after I was leaving post.
Did it impact you at all, or?
It made it real.
Yeah.
Because I was a 20-year-old squad leader.
Here's the thing. It's almost impossible to show up for your family, your work, your country when you're running on no sleep. That was me. Tossing and turning, ceiling staring, dragging through the next day on caffeine just to survive it. That's no way to operate. Dream changed that. I sleep through the night now. I wake up clear-headed and actually present for the people who need me. No groggy haze, no next day fog. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. The chocolate peanut butter flavor that they sent me tastes like hot cocoa before bed. I genuinely look forward to it, and Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep across this country. Spring is here, and summer's right around the corner.
This is the season to show up strong, do it with something made by Americans, for Americans, and you're going to do it with Dream. Go to shopbeam.com/micdrop and use the code MicDrop, all caps, all one word, to get my exclusive offer for up to 40% off Beam's Dream Powder. So with my discount code MicDrop, you can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. If you've been meaning to fix your sleep, this is the time. Get Dream, their best-selling sleep powder, for up to 40% off.
Really didn't know squat about leadership, but I knew my job, as an infantryman, infantry squad leader, because I'd done super squad before that. My squad leader groomed me to take over the squad. So we were great grunts. But when that thing came in under radar and hit, like I said, I was just leaving the post. My buddy took over for me, and it was much closer to him. But that thing hit, and immediately put on our gas masks. But I'm like, oh, shit just got real.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I had a similar moment. But thinking about it, it's like you join the military knowing that not only is that a possibility, it's a probability to some extent, or you're at least assuming that that's the case.
Right.
Obviously, different people's paths and MOSs and whatever tends to dictate how likely it is. But even in, hey, you're going to Iraq and there's a war going on, and it's still kind of not clicking, which is weird that there's that almost cognitive dissonance to fighting in a war. And we had been in Iraq for a while, and we got ambushed late one night, and ended up, there was a guy with, there was a small group of guys that they had trench coats on, ski masks on, and AKs, and the one guy in particular actually had a gun belt with a plastic pistol in it, like just to look like he had a pistol.
Yeah.
It was a fucking toy gun.
Were they Fayadeen?
I don't know. They had absolutely no IDs or any type of markings, wallets, nothing on them whatsoever. But that kind of light switch moment for me was after we had neutralized it. We went up to this guy's body, and he had probably 30 holes in his torso, and we're like sitting around like 5-year-olds poking a squirrel that you found
yeah,
like on the side of the road, just like, poking it with a stick.
Is he dead?
But it was just like, there was just a second where I just had this realization, like the flip of a coin, and that could be me, and
right.
and them circling me up and poking me or dragging me off or whatever. And it's just weird that it like takes that amount of kind of slapping you in the face to realize, holy shit, like we're actually doing this,
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, me neither. It's, you're like, I've told, some people, like, I'd rather be in a gunfight in the street than worry about IEDs.
Yeah.
Right now I'm like, I'd rather worry about IEDs than drone swarms.
No doubt.
Like the things that that seersucker coming in, like, it was a huge whoosh and explosion, right? Not like, I remember the sound and noise it made, and it was like, wow, like that was close. And then the Patriot guys are blowing scuds out of the air above our heads. Yeah. And like parts of them are like, hitting the tents and stuff. And you're like,
they're trying to kill us.
This is real. Like, I don't like that. Like, I want to, like physically shoot at, I want to be, a two-way gunfight here. I don't want that stuff. You know what I mean?
Sitting duck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's because to me, the IEDs are the same.
Right.
Same thing. It's like a passive threat that you can't even fight against,
right,
other than try to not get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. So the initial invasion was fairly low-key operationally. When you got back, is that when you decided you wanted to move on to greener pastures?
So let me tell you about that. And not stupidity, just me trying to play the system. So after the first deployment I was on, the guys from the Force platoon were like, hey, come over. Very political back then, like, come take the screener, right? We'll vouch for you, and then go to RIP, ARS, all that stuff. And so I went to go do that, and they're like, hey, if you come over here, you got to extend for 2 years. I'm like, no. not doing it. Like after that deployment already, I'm like, all right, disillusioned with the Marine Corps. I'm like, yeah, we just crappy command. You know, like you get bad command, good command, and bad leadership. In the freaking platoon, weak platoon sergeant. And I was like, no, not extended for 2 more years in this gun club. Sniper screener. They're like, you got to extend for 2 years. I'm like, nope, I'll just stay a squad leader. You know, like, that's cool. That's as good as I can do as a young corporal, E4, you know. I'll just do that and I'll own it. Well, the joke's on me because my buddies who went to sniper platoon, some of them were in sniper school when we got told we're going to the invasion. They pulled them out of stalking phase and graduated them and sent them. Wow. My buddies went over to Force Company. I saw them over at the invasion, and they didn't have to extend at all. So the joke was on me. So I actually did another deployment after the invasion to Okinawa, did the UDP there. We did some training with the Japanese self-defense force. I did some boxing while I was there. And then I took my squad down to Zamboanga City and worked for the task force down there.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
The working against the Abu Sayyaf, I imagine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They caught a couple top Al Qaeda dudes while we were there too.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those, like, I think very overlooked aspects of, you know, enduring freedom and kind of the anti-terrorism early days was a lot of the Philippine stuff.
Yeah.
My second deployment, we spent some time up in the north, but we were training with a bunch of the Filipino SEALs that were going down to Zamboanga.
Yeah.
Man, that's fascinating. So I guess, sorry, I didn't.
Oh, you're good. No, you're absolutely right. And then, you know, finding out that there's over 2,000 terrorist organizations that operate out of there.
Yeah. Especially the MILF, right?
Yep. Yeah. Like, hello. Yeah, the Monroe Islamic Liberation Front. It sticks out in my head because of MILF. Yeah. But that was some of the most fun I had in my Marine Corps career period, was being down there.
Really?
Because it was me, my lieutenant was with us, and my squad. The SF major was a Citadel guy, played football, so we jacked steel together. I went to meetings and dinners with them.
Oh, that's cool.
I worked my butt off for them because they just moved into their new compound, so I redid all the security SOPs for the compound, all the convoy SOPs, and, you know, sometimes we'd try to take a turn into the Muslim section of town, right, to try to get into a gunfight on the way to the airport, you know. But it was a great time down there.
Yeah, that's cool. As that deployment wrapped up, was that when you finally bit the bullet and...
No.
Nope.
So I was going to re-enlist to be a drill instructor, right? And like it says 2004, and nothing moved fast from, you know, CONUS to Okinawa. So that came back like within a day. Like, yep, approved, drill instructor, all that. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm done. Like, again, just not a great command at the time, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. So I got out, joined the reserves. And played lacrosse back in upstate New York for Monroe Community College. Was a first-team all-region player up there and academic All-American.
Oh, that's cool.
So did that, and
In the process?
Yeah, in the process of that, I actually signed a contract with the Army to do the X-ray program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Before you get into that, I am curious, doing several years in the Marines, combat deployment, I'm assuming upstate New York, is it like a liberal arts college? I mean, was that a huge culture shock showing up there and being amongst a bunch of 18-year-olds?
It was a huge culture shock. Thank goodness for the lacrosse team. So before I went to school, I went and talked to the coach. I was like, hey, you know, his name's Rocky Delfino, awesome guy. I'm like, hey, coach, this is who I am. This is what I just got done doing for the last 4 years of my life. I played summer league lacrosse down at Riceville Beach. I played on the Camp Lejeune. We had a club team. We weren't very good. I did that. I'd like to play for you. And he's like, well, you'll make the team, but you probably won't get any playing time. You've been out of the game for 4 years, but you're in shape, so you'll make the team. Researched who I was when I was in high school and all that. And a friend of mine that knew me from back home, he was actually on the team too. So.
But you did get some playing time, it sounds like.
I was a captain both years I played, and I was a starter,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was for some of those guys, because like I've met them all when it was like help freshmen move into the dorms, and I had an apartment, so I like helped me and the team help people move in and stuff, and they're all trying to feel me out. I'm trying to feel them out. And they're like, hey, do you want to come to a party at the Lax house? I'm like, yeah, sure. I get there and it was like pretty lame, right? Sorry guys, it was pretty lame. And I kind of ruined those poor buggers. But I was like, oh, this is what we're going to do. So I went to Beers of the World, got like 3 pony kegs, freaking massive handle of Jaeger, and a case of Mad Croc knockoff Red Bulls. And I showed up and I was like, now we're going to party. And we just started raging. As any, 22-year-old just got out of the Marine Corps guy would do,
Sure.
But, so it was a huge culture shock. I got good grades, though. I mean, that was easy.
Yeah.
But like if it wasn't for the lacrosse team, I would have probably gone back in the military way sooner. But I was having fun playing with those guys, and it just got to I couldn't find what I wanted to do. Like my degree, I got an associate's degree in liberal arts, which is, I don't know what I want to be when I'm a big boy. I don't know what I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out. Took a whole bunch of classes. I'm like, no, this is for me. I did some construction side work. I was assistant manager at a bar for a while. Bounced at some bars. That was fun, obviously.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to crack skulls because I really enjoyed fighting back then. And I was like, I'm gonna sign up for the Army. The recruiting station was right across the street from my apartment. So that poor Marine Corps recruiter over there, I'd go over there on a Friday and be like, hey, let's go down to the Quimby's Public House, which was 2 doors down. Let's go have cocktail hour. He's like, I still got to talk to people. I'm like, I'll help you with that. Let's just have some beers first. And then I'd try to convince him to go in the infantry. And he's like, yo, dude, I need motor key drivers. I need air wingers. I need all these other jobs, not just infantry. So you got to stop coming over here because I got a mission to make. Yeah. So I went to talk to the Army to do the X-ray program and signed up. Went and did the D-Lab, did my ASVAB over, got waivers to keep my rank, so to stay a sergeant. But they wouldn't give me a bonus. So because I was prior service, I didn't rate a bonus, but guys off the street were getting 30 grand. Guys who were re-enlisting at the time were getting like 100 grand. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, you're not going to give me a bonus? Like, go pound sand. So the day I was supposed to ship down to Benning, I called them up. I was down at Jersey Shore on vacation with my family. I'm like, hey, I'm not going. They're like, can you just come in and talk about this? I'm like, no, I played that game once before with the Marine Corps, so no, that's it. Yeah. And they're like, all right. Dang. Like, I was like their golden goose, I think, for the, to make mission for, that quarter or whatever. But, which hindsight being what it is was like the dumbest thing to do, right? Because I've been an E7, like lickety split. I'd been gotten paid way more. Mm-hmm. But, again, sometimes us Marines are not the sharpest knives in the drawer.
Learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So you tell them no, and then what was the path back in?
The path back in, I told them no. I probably, kept doing the reserve thing. Reserves was easy because they just changed that headquarters. It was a headquarters of tanks up in Rochester, New York, and they changed them over to infantry. So I went in there and taught them how to be infantrymen before they went to School of Infantry, because they had 2 choices: go to SOI or switch units. In the reserves, that was a whole other culture shock too, by the way, because they would show up without haircuts, no shave, or they just wouldn't show up. Right? Like it was like, if you're not present for like 3 drills or something before they like actively start coming to look for you. And I'm like, hey, I got a chaser card. I'll go get them here now. Like, give me their address. I will pull them here. And they're like, no, don't do that. So it was weird. And then the reservists are like, if you want to be so motivated, why don't you go back on active duty? Because I'd pull them in the bathroom, shave their heads. A lot of them. That was like my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome.
And so I was like, finally I was like, oh, well, maybe I will. So I talked to the recruiter across the street, new guy. And I was like, hey, man, I want to go back on active duty. I want to go to recon, but I don't want to leave until I graduate. I need lacrosse season to be done, and I need to graduate before I get orders to Camp Lejeune. And he was like, look, if I put you in next week, I'll be Rookie of the Year, right? And, like, I'll be set. like you made my recruiting time. I'm like, look, let's make a deal. Because it was March. I think it was like early March when this went down. And I needed it till like June. I was like, hey, look, I'll go back on active duty next week, but I'm not doing this rec aid crap. Like, as recruiter's aid, you just get work. They're like, yeah, take this guy to MEPS, do this, like all over God's green earth, right? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'll send you people from school, prospects, you know, that you can talk to, make mission numbers, all that. I'll do PT with the poolies every once in a while, right? But just leave me alone until it's time for me to get orders back to Camp Lejeune. He was like, deal. So I did that, went back on active duty, finished my school, and then got orders down the RIP down in Camp Lejeune in June. So.
And that was 04 or 05?
06.
06.
Yeah.
Any hiccups there, or was it pretty smooth sailing once you showed up?
Definitely hiccups, like right from Jump Street, because the guy who was on duty at 2nd Recon Battalion, the rest of the battalion was deployed. I didn't realize that. A good friend of mine that I went to boot camp in SOI with actually died on that deployment. But I showed up down there, and the guy at the duty desk, I'm like, and so they don't make alphas my size. I need to have specially tailored alphas because I'm a big dude. And so there's this magical form the Marine Corps has called the 604 form that nobody ever was willing to fill out for me. So I didn't have service alphas for probably 10 years, I bet, right? It's like anytime alpha inspection, no alphas for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like because they didn't have my size or whatever. So I show up in camis, which, you know, you're supposed to show up in alphas, but they didn't have them. I don't have a 604 form, right? Like I already got the whole, like, I already got the like story going, the whole narrative. And it was true too. So anyways, I'm talking to the guy at the duty desk. I'm like, hey, where's the sergeant major? I need to report in. And his name, this dude, George Rubel, he's a good guy, but we didn't start off as very good friends. And he's like, I don't understand. He's looking at my orders. He's like, why do you have orders to a company? Are you a recon Marine? I was like, no, I'm an 0311, right? And he's like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why are you going to a company? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, headquarters Marine Corps gave the orders. Like, here they are. Like, where's the sergeant major? You know, and he's giving me attitude. I'm like, hey, why don't you just tell me where the sergeant major is before I get over this counter and beat the shit out of you, right? I'll probably F you up. And hindsight, that wasn't that great because I checked in, right, and they like throw me to RIP, and it was like being thrown to the wolves, like all this information. You need to learn knots. You need to get stencils, like right now, by the way, for your shirt, because it has to be 1 inch centered, all this stuff, right? So I'm like drinking through a fire hose, and I'm trying to check in to all these places. I'm supposed to get gear, all that stuff. And I'm not even supposed to be living in the barracks, but they give me a barracks room anyways, because I'm supposed to be living out in town. And the very next day for PT, guess who walks out? Old George Rubel. And I was like, oh. Man, like dang, like there was times this dude, he was one of the RIP instructors, you know. I'm like, oh man, that was definitely, you know, didn't hindsight being what it was, I wasn't the smartest thing to say to him, right? I'm already a big dude and very recognizable anyways, and the whole silent professional thing don't work for me. And here comes George Rubel freaking walking out for PT, and I'm like, oh man, that was not okay. Like, this dude would sit on an MRE throne while we're doing 8 counts in the pond by the thousands from time to time, you know. But anyways, yeah, so it was, I mean, there was hiccups. They sent me to ARS, to the Amphibious Reconnaissance School, like a week and a half after I showed up to RIP. And I said to the instructors, I was like, hey, I've never done a screener before, right? So this like a 25-meter underwater crossover, right? Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, you got it. Like, you got it. Like, you're a 300 PFTer, right? Like, you got it. Can you swim? I'm like, yeah, I can swim. Like, I can, you know, I'm not a fast swimmer. Drown. Right, yeah. I'm not a fast swimmer, right? I'm slow and steady wins the race. You know, I'm like a snowplow in the water, man, you know. You just see a wake. So they sent me up to ARS, and I failed the crossover. And like up there, you do it from the tread. Out at Coronado, you step off the side of the pool. I went to do it the first time. I probably made it 10 or 12 meters. I remember my buddy Mario Riel, who's an instructor there at the time, I came up and I was like, oh fuck. And he was like, had little mirror tinted glasses on, his little noodle, and he's like, oh fuck is right, try it again. I'm like, and I didn't make it, you know. And I'm standing on the pool deck, I'm like, dang man, it's like, I just boogered up the next 4 years of my life. I'm going back to the grunts. This is terrible. This is not what I joined. Like I came back in with a whole different mindset. Like not looking at this as a contract. This is a job now, right? This is a career. I think that's probably a big thing that a lot of first termers screw up, right? Because it's a contract. Can't stop the clock. Like I'm waiting to get out, right? But now I'm looking at this as this is my job. This is what I'm going to do for my career and my life. And I have a goal. I want to be a Force Recon team leader. And now I'm standing on the side of the pool deck going, oh man, now I'm going back to the grunts. Like this is terrible. Like I'm completely effed. And my buddy Chad Ramsey, who's the RIP platoon sergeant, he's like, hey, can you tell me why you're a sergeant and you just failed the screener? I was like, Gunny, I told your staff that I didn't even know what a crossover was. I've never done it. I've never been in the pool since I've been to RIP. And he was like, really? I'm like, really? He's like, you will be a recon Marine. I was like, oh, thank goodness. So I went back down the RIP for a couple more months, and from there, we ended up going to the pool, and like I practiced crossovers and like full sweats. I'm like, I will not fail a crossover again, ever in my life, ever. And then we went out to Coronado, like 25 of us from our RIP class went out to Coronado for BRC. And when I was practicing at the pool out there, like I think we got out there on like maybe a Saturday or Friday night late, and screener was on Monday. I was practicing and I didn't make it one time. My buddy Hunter was like, hey bro, you can't do that on Monday. I'm like, it will not happen, right? Like, so no more failed crossovers after that. So I was good.
Yeah. Once you completed BRC, where did you go after that?
Went back to second recon. So I was meeting a bunch of the guys that I was in RIP with. So our sister class, ARS, we're all from the same RIP class. There was a lot of lap movers. My one buddy Jay came over from Arty. One dude came over a couple guys came from the Air Wing. But a lot of us who had already time in the grunts and Arty, we were team leaders right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So, and then all the guys, like I had a guy in my team who was in my team in RIP. He was in my team at BRC, and then that poor bastard was in my team at Charlie Company when we came back. And he's probably like, man, I cannot get away from this guy.
Yeah.
Like I can't. So we were team leaders, and we started doing a workup for Iraq.
And where is second out of?
Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you got into, and so at this point is it Recon or Force Recon at that point?
Recon. So they had just disbanded Force Recon like that year, kind of right in that time frame of me coming back in. They disbanded Force and stood up at the time MSOB, now MARSOC. So like when we came back from ARS and BRC, like we actually had a choice. Like we could go down the street, they called it, or we could stay at the battalion. And I was like, look, I'm going to be a freaking team leader right out of the gate. Coming back from BRC, like I'll stay right here. And there was a couple turds going down the street, and I was like, I'm not checking in with those dudes. Like I don't want to be associated with them. None of that. Hindsight again being what it is, I probably should have just gone down the street. A bunch of the guys who stayed with me ended up being in the very first ITC class.
What's that stand for?
Individual training course. Now it's the Marine Raider course.
Oh, okay.
They ended up doing that a couple of years later. But I was like, yeah, team leader at Recon Battalion right out of the gate, because there was no Force Recon at the time. They didn't stand that back up till like 2009.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you got in that position, how long was it from then until you deployed again?
It was actually a lot longer than I wanted it to be, because I was in a Humvee rollover and broke my femur and my back.
Damn.
Fractured my forehead and some other stuff.
How did that happen?
So us being the kind of guys that we are with our, wicked senses of humor, my driver for my team was a dude, Mike Hassan, awesome guy. He's a lawyer now. He is half Pakistani, half Irish. He's from New York City. I'm like, hello, cab driver, right? Cab driver, right? Like, dude was super smart, like crazy smart, but like not Marine Corps smart, right? Like I was giving a mission brief one time and I see him going like this. He has these big knobby fingers, right? I see him doing this with his fingers. I'm like, hey, maybe he's memorizing insert points, like the stuff checkpoints, stuff you should memorize. the fire support plan. And I get done with the brief. I'm like, hey, is there any questions? He's like, do you know that in that brief, you said the F word over 120 times? And I was like, can you tell me where the insert point is? He's like, no. I'm like, start doing 8 counts. But anyways, I made him my driver, right? Half Pakistani, half Irish. He's from New York City. Like, it's in his blood, right? So I was way wrong because we're going out to the training area one day, and convoy breaks like half right, and Mikey breaks half left. I'm like, turn to the right. And he turned to the right. We hit some soft sand, rolled the vehicle over a bunch of times. Like, I remember the first rollover. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah.
And so ejected my whole team out. Trunk ripped off, landed on my leg. Door almost hit me in the head. If I had my seatbelt on, it would have killed me.
Really?
Yeah, because I can't, with full kit on, I can't put a seatbelt on in up armored Humvee.
Yeah.
But it would have killed me, yeah. So I come to, buddy of mine who's behind us, he was like, dude, when I came out of that dust cloud, he's like, that was worse than some of the IDs I've seen, because bodies just scattered all over the desert, freaking vehicles all boogered up. Like I, came to, and our SART, Trevor, he ran up to me. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, back broke, leg, ow. And he's like, how do you know your back's broke? I'm like, it's broke. And my lips were all shredded up. And he's like, all right. And I had brand new Garment boots on. I was like, don't cut my boots off, Doc. Like, just brand new, $140, man. A lot of money for me, Don't cut them off. And he's like, all right, I won't cut them off. And he cut my pants off. And as soon as he cut up, the side of my compression shorts, my leg, he said it was just like, boom. Wow. Like, because my femur was like that close to popping out of the skin. Yeah. So company comes out there. Our first sergeant, I got a tattoo on my back that says pain is candy. Before they turned the coin, tramp stamp, like in 2001. I got that. I got a tramp stamp. It says pain is candy. Right. So
there is something that stands out if you're getting pain is candy right above your asshole.
Right. I mean, it's coming from you. You're a Navy guy here.
I mean, if anybody knows, it's this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like, back in the grunts, like I put rocks in my boots, and like 3 miles in, like shake rocks out of my boots in front of the squad. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's crazy. Like dumb stuff, right? Like physically hard, and our first sergeant comes up. He's like, hey, is pain candy now? I'm like, no. So triaged me, called in a civilian life flight, and flew me out to Palm Springs, so I did not get to go on that deployment.
How long of a recovery was that?
That happened in August of 2007, and I went to Summer Mountain Leaders in May or June of 2008.
Damn, almost a year, huh?
Which still wasn't enough time. Yeah. When a doctor tells you you're not ever going to be a recon Marine again, you're like, yeah, watch me prove you wrong, dude. Mm-hmm. So I was hell-bent on going back to being a freaking recon Marine. They were about to medically separate me. I was on med board, didn't know it. I mean, I was on limited duty in MERS, in the military medical readiness system for the Navy for 8 years. Yeah. They didn't realize till 2010, I think, that I was still on limited duty in that system. The Marine Corps, everything else was like the regular paperwork was like cleared. Right. But I found the orthopedic surgeon that had never met me before at the Naval Hospital. I just asked around until I found him, had him assign me back to full duty, and then and I had a buddy who was working out at Summer Mountain Leaders, and I was like, hey, get me a spot, and worked out a drug deal for me to go out there, which, like I said, was not the smartest thing to do because my body was nowhere ready for that. So I was still, in pain.
And what is Summer Mountain Leaders?
Out of Bridgeport, California. So you learn, mountain leadership. How to navigate terrain, rock climbing, assault climber stuff. All your, one rope bridges, rappelling, fixed lanes.
Mostly combat mountaineering.
Yeah,
skills.
Combat mountaineering. Like how can you move a battalion? Like I mean, there's a lot of considerations in the mountains, right? A infantry battalion, instead of being able to do 3 miles an hour, is only going to be able to do X amount of miles an hour at this, grade, et cetera, and it, for me, helped me a lot for Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That really helped me be successful in my next deployment when I went to Afghanistan.
So I assume that you successfully made it through it. It was
Yes.
just way harder on you than it should have been.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I ran my worst PFT up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you finished that, how long was it between then and when you deployed?
We deployed in 2009, so I want to say April maybe of 2009.
So I guess from when you graduated and ended up deployed, you went to Afghanistan?
Yeah.
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 And so this is now as a recon guy.
Yeah, as a recon. Yep.
How big of a difference was that from your previous experiences?
Huge difference. One, I wanted to be there. I mean, not that I didn't want to be an infantry squad leader before. I did, but not like my goal is to be a recon team leader, a Force Recon team leader. Now I'm doing what I wanted to do, what I had trained hard, to be and do. And my team, the platoon that we brought to Afghanistan was probably one of the more junior recon platoons that I ever went during the global war on terror, because nobody in my team had deployed.
Oh, wow.
Except for me. My assistant team leader was a new guy. We had a team leader who left the platoon at the last training, Mojave Viper out in 29 Palms. He was like, yeah, I don't want to do this deployment, basically quit on us. And so we moved my ATL to be a TL. I brought on I call him a NARC, non-amphibious reconnaissance corpsman, to be my point man. He's actually the command master chief at Marshal right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he had been to BRC, but not through the rest of the SARC pipeline. So I was like, I'll take another medical guy, right? I made him pull his caduce off and put petty officer chevrons on, which really pissed people off bad. I'm like, hey, you are a what first? He's like, I'm a warrior. I'm a shooter first, medicine second.
Yeah.
Right? You're a warrior first, dude. And he's pretty legendary in their community because of that, honestly. But taught him how to run point. My ATL was a new guy, still one of the best assistant team leaders I ever had, though. And when we got to Afghanistan, our platoon got the opportunity to go work for 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines up in Ops Box, Tripoli. And we did a lot of the deployment we spent doing traditional ground reconnaissance and surveillance, almost by doctrine, working for an infantry battalion, and we did more RNS than guys have done even right now. I mean, unless, special missions guys, but.
No, that's awesome. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Was there a specific operation doing kind of the recon surveillance mission that stands out as being the most memorable, or that you could walk us through to give the listener an idea of what that's like?
Yeah, 2 I'll walk you through, because we're going to talk about the second one anyways. So the first one would be Operation Eastern Resolve 2. Pretty sure that's what it was called. Yeah. So there's this village down south. We were up in Now Zad for most of our deployment with 2-3 Golf Company. Amazing dudes. Love them guys like brothers. And it was and their company commander was a former recon platoon commander out at 3rd. So, and when we showed up there,
it's midweek, you're tired, you're hungry, and you already know what's for dinner. The same 3 meals you've been rotating for the last 6 months. And look, there's nothing wrong with comfort food, but there's part of you that's been wanting something different. Something that feels like an actual experience, not just fuel. That's what HelloFresh has done for me. They send everything straight to your door, pre-portioned, ready to go, 0 grocery runs. But what's gotten me is the variety. There's over 80 global recipes every month. Vietnamese, Moroccan, Caribbean, ingredients like lemongrass, gochujang, curry paste, the kind of stuff you'd never just pick up at the store on a Tuesday night. But with HelloFresh, it's all there, set up for you, no recipe hunting, no wasted ingredients. I use it, and you should too. When dinner is this good and this easy, there's no excuse to default to takeout, because nothing hits home like home cooking. Go to hellofresh.com/micdrop10fm now to get 10 free meals plus a free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription, free meals applied as discount on the first box and new subscribers only. It varies by plan. That's hellofresh.com/micdrop10fm to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life.
We didn't look like a recon platoon. We had shaved heads. Uniforms were all put together, right? Like the first sergeant's like, "Who are you guys?" Like, "We're the recon platoon."
I asked for
like,
the recon guys.
Yeah, you're like, "We're the recon platoon." And he's like, "You guys supposed to have like long hair and like stuff like that?" We're like, "No, not this platoon." And because of that, and a lot of guys get salty about it, but first impressions are lasting impressions, right? Perception's reality, especially with the Marine Corps, right? We're not soft, right? We're accepted by soft guys but we're in this gray, soft, goofy freaking area, right? But when you're working for a conventional unit, you need to make sure that your stuff's wired tight and you're unfuckwithable, honestly. Because of that and the company commander being a former recon guy, there was, between us, their squad leaders, there was like no plan that we weren't able to like discuss, right? Like one time he's like, "You guys think you can pull off a Trojan horse operation? Like if we buy a car, can you go down and hit this Taliban checkpoint?" We're like, let's do it. So we're up in Now Zad. There's this village called Dahana down south of us, in Dahana's Pass. And man, maybe it's a legend, but everyone says that town hadn't been taken since Alexander the Great.
Wow.
Right, so a lot of historical significance. Taliban had a couple machine gun positions up in the mountains overlooking it. They had a vehicle checkpoint down in the pass. When we would leave the wire to go out and run ops, they had some night vision because you could see them clicking the IR on the mountains, letting their pals know that somebody was leaving the wire. So originally the plan was for me to take my team and my buddy Lance's team, go up the western side of go west of the pass, climb up the ridge line, because there was like a low spot, use my mountaineering gear, climb the freaking cliff, go east up the ridge, and then drop down on this machine gun position and kill them, and then turn it into like reconnaissance surveillance. And then the guys from 2-3 were going to go raid a compound in the village, and then we were going to clear the village, and we were going to set up a company outpost there, or they would. One of the fobs went in the black. Like the night we were supposed to leave earlier that day, one of the fobs went in the black, and so they scrapped it. To which case I was like, "Hey, look, I need the extra day, right, in case we don't make it up that cliff." We're carrying over probably 120-pound rocks, like 15 quarts of water, like one meal a day essentially, and then all our mission essential gear, which is like heavy. Yeah. The water is the most of it. And so I was like, all right, instead of doing that, because now we have 24 hours, basically one period of darkness to get into that machine gun position, turn that into Overwatch for those guys doing the raid. So I was like, we'll go over the pass or over the mountain, cut east, and we'll assault it from the bottom up, which is not ideal, obviously. And then we'll be there by the morning. And it was a freaking break off. I mean, it should have only been like a 6-7 click movement, but now we got elevation. One of my guys almost fell off a cliff. Like I caught him with my leg on the backside. Like literally stuck my foot out and caught him. Otherwise he was going off like a 40-footer. Wow. And we try to get comm, no comms. We're in some black hole of comms, as per usual. Right. Finally get a hold of Delaram, way south of us, on SATCOM. And you know how to talk, back then you had to talk like crazy slow. And I'm trying to tell whatever goobers down there, some PFCs on watch, like, "Hey, this is Raider 3. And they're like, "Who?" Like, "This is Raider 3. Like, "Who?" Like, "This is a recon team up in Now Zad. This is our grid," right? I'm like,
"Where?"
Repeat. Yeah. I've never heard of that place. There's probably exactly what was going on. I'm like, I don't, and quite honestly, thinking back on it, I doubt that he ever relayed the message. You know, I want to have faith in him and hope that he did. But so I'm like, hey, this is our position right now. Please call this phone number, which is the phone number to the FOB. Call them and tell them we'll be in position by sunup. Tell them. Like, repeat it back to me, blah, blah. Right, all right. So we keep on. We go assault the position. Nobody was there, thank goodness, because we were broketh, offeth, like hard. Worst, like just like we had stuff so dialed in. Like I had a hydration plan before missions, right? Like this is how many gallons of water you drank. This is when you drank oral rehydration salts. Like we had Gatorade bottles with oral rehydration salts in them, half Gatorade, half water, and then oral rehydration salts. So at our first like SILS stop, I'd make all the guys crush them, right? And then, you know, even throughout the movement, right, like making sure everybody's got, you know, they stay hydrated, because in 48 hours we'd go through 15 quarts of water and you wouldn't piss once. Maybe you'd piss once and it looked like wood glue, you know. So we get in position and birds inbound and all sun tracers. You know, we got fixed wing, we got rotors. The frickin' 53 is coming in with the grunts, and there's tracers coming out of the target and pinging the 53. So my buddy Kevin, who's our platoon sergeant, he came with us as a JTAC. So he's snaking the target, and which, you know, for those in the crowd, like take a infrared laser pointer and you wave it across the whole side of the compound. Lead trace had strobes on, IR strobes, and the Cobras come around and also and lays us with their pod.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be an NFA around us. That's why I don't know if the private called who we need to call and let them know that we're going to be there, because there was supposed to be this planned named operation, right? There's an NFA around us. Well, they lays us and it goes down my chest, down all my guys' chests, and it's like down at the last two dudes in me and my buddy Lance's team. And I was like, everybody get down. Like Kevin's like trying, now he went from snaking the target to trying to freaking lasso the freaking birds, you know, and we're trying to call them on comms. They were supposed to be encrypted, but they're in the open. He's trying to call the birds. I'm like, Kevin, get down. Pulled him down, and the first bird shot rockets at us, and the second bird shot guns at us. And those rounds impacted probably like to that wall, like away from us. And it was like
terrifying.
You know, when you're a kid and they're like, old Vietnam guys would be like, you know, wait till you're in an ambush position, you know, or you get shot at and you might piss yourself or shit yourself like that. That was the day that I came dang close to almost pissing and shitting myself. And I'm like, dang, that's why the Taliban run for those things, because that shit is scary, you know. But yeah, rockets and guns. And I mean, one of my guys got hit with a little bit of shrapnel, but that like somehow that was it. And we're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, tell my RTO, like, call the convoy, because there's a convoy coming down from Dahana too. I'm like, call the convoy. Kevin's trying to reach the birds, because the birds are coming around for Dash 2 to finish us off. And finally got a hold of the fixed wing, which called down to the rotors and called them off.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, like the most insane experience of my entire life. Like, I mean, imagine freaking having these, you know, bullets that size pretty much hurled at you, mock Jesus, you know, like that, and the whole world exploding around you. It was nuts. And to live through it too, you know, was.
I can't believe only one dude got a little shrapnel, and that's all.
That was it. And it didn't even, like, it hit his glove.
Wow.
Yeah. So
on the one hand, that's super lucky. On the other hand, it's like, that's no wonder.
Yeah.
Like, wait, shouldn't you guys be better than that?
Yeah. Exactly. In the aftermath, when they did the investigation on that, because our XO was down at Leatherneck and Bastion, he went in there and talked to him, and they said that they thought the lead trace IR strobes were AK fire. Hey, if any of you guys out there listening, if your call sign was repent in Afghanistan, don't ever admit that to me in person because I'm going to smack you a shot. Like, that's coming. I'm just want to let you know. But they said that they thought that, like, there was AK fire. When have you seen AKs ever? Boop, boop. Never. And then they said that they thought the target was snaking us. Newsflash, bud. When you're doing this, that does not look the same down on the ground up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't jive. They're full of it. They also later on that morning hit the wrong compound off the GRG, and we're trying to give them what compound to hit. We smoked we smoked the mortar team with a javelin up there from that position. We shot a guy with our sniper rifles. We got a little happy. Like a little guy came out, the convoy's coming down. And I mean, and you got to kind of talk about your screw ups too, I feel like,
Yeah.
So freaking, and it's funny. I mean, that's the end. Like, there's just things that are funny that happen in combat. So convoy's coming down, and this dude sneaks out of a compound, and he's at the side of the road hooking it. We're like, oh yeah. Right there, so like 710 meters or some crap like that. We're like, oh, chip shot. Oh, not chip shot, right? But like, we're going to crush this dude. We got a 50 cal up here. We got two Mark 11s, right? So I was like, hey, Lance, let's freaking smoke this dude. He's like, oh yeah. So I'm on a Mark 11. My ATL's on Mark 11, and Lance on the 50 cal. And Kevin's like, dude, I'll do the countdown. And he just starts counting immediately, right? And we're still like lazing, like, sorry, well, what do we got to dial to, blah, blah. And he's like already counting down. So like Tia 2, like, and Lance is like, doom, freaking, and all 3 rounds hit right by this dude's foot. Like, wind call wasn't good, right? We're all rushed. And then the dude's like, obviously, like, oh, shit.
At least you guys were consistent.
Dude, we were all right there, man, all right there. And we're at a way high angle, too. And we're like, hey, Gunny Lalota told us, hold dick, hit head, right? Like, just hold low. Like, hold low, we'll be good, and if we were, the half a mil left, we would have been, like, way good. So this dude jumps in the ditch, and then I just start, all I can see is a little freaking hat in the ditch, so I'm just like, shooting at him, and, one's right here, and he's just going back and forth, and he started going back towards the compound, and I just hit him in the stomach finally, and he just disappeared. So that definitely happened.
How many rounds do you suspect you guys shot collectively?
Those guys only shot one with the 50, and then I probably shot like 8. Dude, I was like, "You's not going back in there, man." I'm like, I'm going to like, not rapid fire, but dang close to it. I'm like, I'm not letting this dude get away with this.
Forgive my ignorance on the Mark 11. What caliber is that?
308. So, yeah, it's
what grain weight is that?
175.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably a lethal shot getting hit in the gut with that thing.
He had a bad day. Yeah.
He wasn't shitting right forever.
No, he probably didn't. Like with their medicine, he probably didn't make it.
Not. How did that operation end? Or what happened?
So we turned from Overwatch into your Guardian Angel, rather, into basically an OP at that point. We stayed up there till we ran out of water. Which
was 9 minutes later.
Dude, it was probably, literally it was probably the next day, I would say. So the grunts started to clear the village, and we saw the hugest ambush I've ever seen kick off. Grenades, mortars, machine guns, like the whole RPGs, the whole kit and caboodle. So we're spotting for those guys, and they're calling in air and mortars and all that stuff. And one of the grunts got hit with an RPG and took his leg clean off. Right, so we see this dude, he's on the way to the bird, we could see him through our spotting scopes, thumb up, and his buddies and stuff like that, because it just took it off.
I'm assuming it detonated.
Nope.
Oh, really?
No, it didn't detonate in his leg. It just took his leg off, and I don't even know if the round detonated, honestly. And then that kid had an aneurysm and died on the way to Leatherneck.
No way.
Yeah, which sucked.
Man.
Dude, you just survived massive ambush, well coordinated ambush too. Like it was those dudes were fighters. Survived an RPG taking your leg off and you die in the bird. Like dude, like because the guy was just thumb upping. Like that sucked. And the engineers were building the HESCO house for the company outpost. Mortar came through the roof of that, hit a dude right in the chest. One of the engineers, like 80, they use 82s, I think, hit him in the chest, blew up, messed up the dudes around him with shrapnel worse than I think that guy. Got it in the chest, cooked off all his rounds, melted his SAPI plate to like quarter-inch thick. It was, because I saw his body armor.
How did that not go off hitting him?
It went off. The mortar went off, but it had come through the roof. And however he was standing or sitting or whatever, because I think they just went in there and taken a break for lunch or something, and hit him, and it detonated outwards. And he lived.
He survived that.
He survived that. Yeah.
I'd be buying lottery tickets for the rest of my life.
Forever. Yeah.
That is nuts, man. And did it kill a bunch of guys around him?
Nope.
How is that even possible?
I don't know.
82 millimeter.
There is stuff that doesn't make sense to me when it comes to munitions. Like
that's nuts, man.
There's guys who've lived through some of the most insane IEDs, gunshot wounds. Like, the human body is a remarkable thing.
Well, yeah, and then on the flip side, a 1.556 round goes by your collarbone and bounces around inside and kills somebody.
And you're right, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's crazy.
Man. Yeah, wild. So we ended up coming off that, off the OP, because we were about to go down for dehydration, like for real. The sniper team from 2-3, they had set up an OP on the east side of the pass, which the day of the raid and start of everything, there was a machine gun position up there on that east side of the pass. And these clever little bastards had I want to say it was like a 14.5, 14.7, some goofy millimeter, right, machine gun off one of the Hind helicopters. It was like as tall as I am. And they had it on the tripod with the tractor seat and the hand cranks and crap, and they were shooting it over like a finger into the village. So like one of the engineers was in his Humvee, and he like leaned down to get something off the floor and heard a crack and sat up. Like there was a hole right where his face just was a second before. Yeah. And we blew the whole side of that mountain off that day trying to like get those guys. And we never, like they stopped shooting. So like, all right, we got them. Well, when we had to clear a bunch of caves on that side of the mountain, and the machine gun was still there, sitting there. We found 2 of them, one inoperable. That one was still operational. The grunts brought that one down. We blew up a crap load of caves up there.
What were you using to blow them up?
Satchel charges and shape charges, which was like it was a break-off session, but it was still pretty fun because we're blowing freaking boulders the size of blowing the fronts of caves off. I mean,
were the caves full with like cache type stuff, or were they mostly empty?
Not a lot. Found a couple of those discarded machine guns, some ammo, not robust caches. Yeah. Got to the top. One more cave that was like we were on like a false summit. Like there was like one more cave in the peak, and we left all the rest of the team, my team and Lance's team, the ORP, and with all the mountaineering gear, and we just decided we're like, well, we'll just throw some 203s in that thing and call it a day, and we were outside of frag radius because people break my balls about this, but we're outside of frag radius. Just one thinking about the cave being about like 20 meters up on the cliff face, right? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm like, boom. I'm like, boom, right? And I'm like, like felt like I got kicked by a freaking mule in the side, And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, dude, something just hit me, bro. Like, we should get behind this rock right here. And he's like, oh yeah, buddy. He's like, boop, and just launches one in there. I'm like, no frill, let's get behind this like rock right here. So we get behind there, launch a couple more, and freaking, I'm like, hey, dude, I need you to check my side out here because we didn't have side sappies in. We just had front and back plate, and open up my body armor, and blood's freaking squirting out, right, leaking out. And he's like, oh my gosh, you fragged yourself, you know? I'm like, he's like, I'm like, here, get your medical kit out. He's like, no. He's all happy because he gets to patch me up. And I had like 3 or 4 pieces of frag in there. I think there's like 2 left.
From a 203?
From a 203, outside of frag radius, right? So, and like it must have been
at big rocks.
Dude, it must have been the trajectory. Like hit the in my brain, right? I'm like, boom, it hits there. It's gonna frag the back of the cave. If anyone's in there, they're not gonna be happy. We'll do that a couple times. They'll all be dead. Everything's good. But not thinking about the fact that obviously the frag could come back and get me too. Yeah. So like call that in. The lieutenant's losing his mind. Like, why? How's there a WIA? Like, hey, relax. It's from my own grenade. You know, like it's all good. Like patched up. Like we'll figure this out when we get to the bottom back to the bottom of the mountain. The shock trauma surgeon down there is like ultrasounded it, and he's like, I'm gonna put you in for Purple Heart. I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. Like, no, do not do that. He's like, why? I was like, it's my grenade. Yeah. He's like, oh. So I fragged myself with my own grenade. These things happen. Yeah. But yeah, so that whole operation turned that into a company outpost. So we ran ops out there for a while. Wow. After, I mean, it was there when we left Afghanistan still.
And that was the village that allegedly or supposedly
hadn't been taken since Alexander the Great.
Do you have any idea what the KIA on your guys' end was after that?
Only that one Marine.
I mean,
for enemy KIA, I have no idea. Because they were a lot of times took like their bodies out with them. They weren't just sprawled out. I know, like we killed a mortar team. There was at least 3 of them in there. Whoever they whacked, and in the initial raid, I mean, I'd say probably at least had been a dozen. Yeah, on day one. I feel like maybe 10, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah. So that was the first operation that you wanted to mention. There was another one that's even more.
Yeah. So.
And I guess before you share that, about how many operations in that kind of traditional recon?
15
phase?
missions.
15.
Yeah, and then.
Were they all pretty active that way?
Not all of them. A lot of them were very active. Or sometimes we'd get, I won't say a harebrained idea, but like one of our, like when we would talk with the squad leaders, like, all right, how can we lure them out? So Now Zad was a really crazy place because it's a city, but it's empty. The only people there were bad dudes. East of Now Zad, across what we call the greens, because there's a empty, a wadi, but a Karev system underneath the wadi. So green agriculture area, trees, and on the other side of that was a village called Changolak. So one part of Now Zad that had fighters there when we got there was Pakistani Alley, and we called it that because it had foreign fighters, Pakistanis, Chechens, some Chinese, or at least they looked Chinese, and then other various Taliban guys.
Did you guys look into the Chinese fighters at all, like intel wise, like where they were from or any of that?
I'm sure that somebody did.
Yeah,
not us though. I mean, like that's the
because you don't hear that much. You hear like Chechen or any of the stands that are in Southwest Asia that are supportive of it. But,
or maybe they're like the more. I mean, to us and them, they look Chinese. Maybe they're like more that like Hazara. Leftover of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, the Mongolian.
Ancestor type thing. But they look sure as crap look Chinese. And I mean, we know the Iranians were training dudes. The Pakistanis were training dudes. Chinese, like, obviously. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's like, no, we're not, dumb. But no, I would imagine that they did, though, because a bunch of the RNS missions we did, like SAS or SF teams or whoever hit our targets. We just did. So we had a whole list of NAIs, so named areas of interest. So we'd go, report on it, get pattern of life, answer all the PIRs, CCI, PIRs, SIRs.
Which is what?
Priority intelligence requirements or requests, and then special intelligence requests. CCRs would be critical, commanders critical, or maybe information. I don't know. CCRs are like the bad ones, like somebody is injured, killed, etc. Yeah. The PIRs are like your list of, is this dirtbag here, or like what's whatever, whatever people, your typical recce list of questions, with certain specific ones per NAI. But we do, RNS of an NAI, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, we'd hear wop, 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 and here comes a shit hook coming in, and hear a bunch of gunshots and bangers going. We're like, damn, they just hit our target.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted to hit that target. What the hell, Yeah. I mean, it happened a bunch of times. So obviously we knew we were doing, like, good work. That's a dead giveaway. On one, we found the Taliban shadow governor of Now Zad district.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the only reason I knew that, or that we found that out, rather, so up north of us was Bar Now Zad. So there was Now Zad, which was picture Mount Town, but empty. Like, all there was in there was IEDs, some fighters when they would come across the Wadi to fight. So you had Now Zad, Changalak was east. You go up, there's a village called Kanjaki, Sofla. Then there was Kanjaki, Olia, and then you go like northwest was Bar Now Zad. And we knew that Bar Now Zad had a ton of dirtbags there.
What region of Afghanistan is this in?
Northern Helmand.
Okay. There's a certain outfit that you reach for every single day when you're home. The one that's comfortable enough to live in, but doesn't make you look like you gave up. For me lately, that's been the brushed bamboo jogger set and lake house clogs from Cozy Earth. They sent these to me, and I'll tell you, made from viscose from bamboo, incredibly soft, breathable, and the kind of quality that actually holds up over time. It's the outfit that makes getting off the couch actually comfortable. They back everything with a lifetime warranty on clothing and hassle-free returns, so there's zero risk. This Memorial Day, give yourself the kind of comfort that lives with you all day, not just the moment you get home. Cozy Earth's brushed bamboo jogger set and lake house clogs are designed to keep you cozy, comfortable, and actually relaxed all season long. Comfort lives here. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code MicDrop, all caps, all one word, for up to 30% off, but only for a limited time. This exclusive offer runs from May 18th through June 1st only, so don't wait. That's code MicDrop at CozyEarth.com for up to 30% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here.
And we knew that there was a lot of dirtbags in Bar Now Zad. The last guys who'd been in that area was first Force Recon, probably more than a year before us. And they got into a huge tick up there. So we went up there and did probably like 10, 12K foot infill. Got set up, my team, Lance's team. We did have a third team, believe it or not, Ben, and he did a lot of stuff too. Lance and I happened to be together on a bunch of them. So mutual supporting positions, sun's coming up, and all of a sudden we see Taliban running a vehicle checkpoint down in the pass. And it was just like the way we do it. Stopping people, hoods open, trunks open, search pit. They're searching. I'm like, well, man, this is like it was kind of impressive, honestly, like, holy shit. So we're like, hey, this is what's going on, right? And the command's like, send pictures. Right? It's like their famous thing, like, send pictures. Oh, ISR don't see anything. That's the other beauty of, like, everyone's like, ISR can do it all. Well, I know at least 5 times in that deployment where we saw stuff going on that ISR didn't see, and that was one of them. And then we saw a guy come out of a compound, pick up 2 bodyguards, and walk out. And we're like, this has got to be a major dirtbag. Because he's got bodyguards. He's running vehicle checkpoints in here. So we had a Carl Zeiss spotting scope, so thanks Zeiss Optics, like 80 power. And we'd take the G10 camera, our Canon, and we'd put it up against there, and we could get facial. I think we were probably 800 yards or meters from him, and we could get facial recognition with it that way, just putting the camera up to the scope that way. Yeah. And it was way lighter than carrying the Jesus lens, like that one in the big thing, that was like, after our first mission in country, like, how do we lighten the load, right? How do we make this work? Like, because we almost didn't make it.
Do you remember what power the Zeiss lens was?
80 power.
80, wow.
Yeah. I believe it was 80. I'm very confident of that. So Anyway, so we get facial shots of this guy, and I'm like, hey, request permission to drop on him. Like, let's kill this dude. Let's kill all these dudes. And they're like, denied. Send proof. So we send pictures.
Send nudes.
Proof. What's that?
Send nudes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, send nudes, please. Like, all right, denied. Air. Like, all right, HIMARS, right? Let's do HIMARS, because they were supposed to be able to hit a Coke can at 100 miles or whatever crazy claim they have, and didn't work as often for us, that deployment, like it was supposed to, but they do. Denied. Right? Like, all right, too far for 120s out of the fob, like, but we got javelins and we got a freaking 50 cal. Right? So like, we take them out with the javs. And they're like, denied. Watch for 24 more hours, get pattern of life. If they come out tomorrow morning, you're in there like swimwear, like, send it. We're like, cool. Well, problem is that we had a forward staged ROC, like Reconnaissance Operations Center, in this mountain pass. That was, a couple miles away. They're tucked down. And a serpentine belt broke on a vehicle. Not a huge deal. We can make that work. Then they started getting shot at by a multiple launch rocket system. So, like, Chinese made, like, a freaking RPG on steroids, because they shriek and then they blow up. I don't know if you ever encountered any of those in your time, but so way worse than an RPG. So they're getting shot at by that. So we're like, hey, we got an exfil tonight. Like, you guys got exfil tonight. We're like, well, this sucks. So we exfilled that night, and we typically stayed off road, like a lot of the deployment. We stayed off roads, and that particular we foot moving out, got in the vehicles, and it was the first time I'd ridden in a freaking MRAP all deployment. And we headed back to the fob, and we hit an IED that they backlayed my vehicle that I'm in. So first time in MRAP, I'm feeling secure for once, instead of like this in a freaking Humvee, we hit a freaking IED, knocked me out briefly.
Do you remember it?
Yeah. It would blew the whole front end off that sucker. So now we got a down vehicle, middle of the night, and it was probably like, I bet you it was probably 2-3 a.m. maybe when that happened. Call the fob, and we're like, hey, we need the wrecker. They're like, the wrecker's down. It's going to be like 24 hours so we can fix it. We're like, well, the sun's going to come up, and we are right outside of Kanjaki, like in between Kanjaki, Sofla, and Olia. We're getting shot at by multiple launch rocket system yesterday, so get that thing up and come get us so we can get this vehicle out of here, because as soon as the sun comes up, it's going to be a shit show. And it was, absolutely. Like, sun came up, and we were in a gunfight, like immediately. Multiple launch rocket system, machine guns, RPGs. They got the wrecker up, got that out to us, and we had taken a bunch of grunts, machine gunners with us to run the guns on the vehicles while we were out running the mission. And I ran our javelin gunner, this dude named Flowers. So when we'd first gotten in country, and we're like, hey, how do we not take a Sasser, right? Like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? The thing's heavy, right? You only bring 2 magazines, right? And that's heavy, and more ammo is even heavier. What can we do to minimize weight and maximize firepower? So we decided on javelins. So we got a command launch unit with it that has a thermal unit on it, so we can use it for observing, right? We'll bring 2 missiles with us, because we can track moving targets with them. We can put them in top attack mode, and way more effective than a freaking Sasser. And we probably shot like 12 javelins that deployment or more. Like, we were slinging some javelins. Yeah. Well, we took the 2 young guys from, one of them lives here in Texas, actually, Green. He was with us the day we got shot at by the helicopters, too. So we took him and this other guy out on a bunch of our missions, and they're slaying bodies, and their section leaders getting pissed. So this guy, Flowers, is like, I want to come out on this mission, the bar Now Zad. And I'm like, okay. Like, warning orders up. Like, here's the timeline. You got to be here for the brief, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I should have known to not take him, because when he came over for inspection, this dude had cans of Pringles. Dude, I swear to you. Dude, cans of Pringles.
He had the Meal Team 6.
Dude, for straight up Meal Team 6 stuff, bro. Like, Pringles. He's got Red Bulls. He's got, like, and my point man's like, you need to come see this.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, like, it didn't matter what. Dude, it was, right? Like, he was at the dang, like, PX, like, before he came over for inspection, And my guys are looking at me, and I'm like, hey, Flowers, see that warning order? What does it say on there for chow? 1 meal per day, 1 main meal bare minimum per day. I said, yep, that's what you'll have. No more.
So give me the Pringles.
Right? Get rid of all that shit. The water, you will have all of it. Right? You are going to be like, this dude's like, I'm a corporal, right? And my ATL is a sergeant. But I'm like, whatever a member of this team tells you to do, you're going to do. And you will pack by the numbers. Everybody, doesn't matter who you are, will pack by the numbers, because for something that happened to you or anything, right, it could be your mission, we're mission ineffective. Well, when we got out of the freaking truck, that freaking dude, his Camelback popped right after we'd done our SILS, stop, look, listen, smell, get acclimated to the area. 100 yards in, water. I can hear it leaking. And my ATL's like, hey, Flowers popped his water. I freaking 360'd up. And I was like, listen, you break one more water source, we have to exfil. Right? And because you will dehydrate, and that's your liability. Yeah. That's the problem. I was like, I am telling you right now, I will fuck you up. I will fucking hurt you. Right? If I have to exfil, right, and or we're compromised because of you, I'm going to freaking hurt you. Like, and that's like, and he knew I was serious too. When we're in the hide, and he was like, because it was like cami netting, black side out, over rocks up on the mountains, little holes cut out so we could observe, and his foot was hanging out, and I was like, get your foot in this cami netting before I cut it off. And he's like, is this what you guys do? I'm like, yeah.
You asked for it.
This is what we do. And he's like, I'll never come with you guys again. So we started getting shot at that morning. I ran him up to the top of the mountain with his javelin, and me and my ATL had sniper rifles and stuff. And he's like huffing and puffing behind us. He's like, never again, never again, never again. Because he's like, he wanted to get his gun. He thought it was all gonna be honky dory. He's gonna slay bodies with us, like shoot the javelin, because the boots shot. Yeah. I can't believe the boots killed people with the javelin before I did. But he's like, he never went with us ever again.
Shoot a javelin, have some Pringles, shoot another.
Right, yeah, right, yeah. And but the other grunts we had with us that were machine gunners, we're going back to the fob. Like, a dude comes running out with an RPG, and he's freaking like, he's like, can I free gun it? We're like, yeah, man. And he just launches March 19th guy, blows the dude's leg off. Like, the dude was surgical with it. But yeah, so yeah, we did that. So I figured out that we found the shadow governor because my sister-in-law worked for JWAC, the Joint Warfare Analysis Center at the time. She's got the 100-pound brain of the family.
So in that mission, the one that you guys observed and kept getting denied on, that was the guy?
So she called me a couple days, probably like a week later maybe. So I get a call on the SIPR phone, or like some PFC on watch comes running over to our compound. He's like, Sergeant Kuperus here. I'm like, yeah, right here. He's like, you got to call on the SIPR. I'm like, oh God. Like, that's not good, man. Like, the team leader getting a call on the red phone, like, not cool. Like, something. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about, like, what did I do? Nothing. I didn't do anything. We kill anybody we shouldn't have. Like, I don't know. And then I hear this like a little sweet voice on the other side. She's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, how'd you get this number? Like, I knew who it was immediately when I heard their voice. And she's like, oh, I've had this number. And she's like, I just want to let you know that you guys are doing really good things. So like that last mission you did, that brief went up to some very high places. You found a high level guy, and then post deployment when we'd mess with the rest of the family, like, hey, you guys don't have TS clearance, but we do. So we'll talk about stuff over here. Right. Type thing. And she's like, yeah, that was the shadow governor of Now Zad district.
Wild,
yeah.
Man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a busy deployment.
It was a busy deployment.
Yeah. Was that the second operation that you wanted to talk about?
Oh no, the second operation. Yeah, so I just went down the rabbit hole on that one because, like, I don't know, we did a lot of the stuff we did on that deployment. I brought to when I was an instructor later in my career. A lot of those SOPs we implemented into the urban RNS course and stuff like that. Yeah. And just the guy, like, not often as recon Marines do we like get told that we found somebody like that.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys that are like super butthurt that I'm doing podcasts and stuff like that. Like, why would you do that? I'm like, if we don't talk about our story, about what we did, nobody else is.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. I mean, you probably are. I mean, I know, as soon as you graduate BUD/S, you get book deals.
Yeah.
No,
for sure.
But like, like there's a lot of soft entities, they're in the limelight as they should be, but for us, like I said, we're in that goofy gray area, but it's like, hey, if we don't talk about what we've done, nobody is. And that's not going to get passed on to future generations.
Well, yeah, agreed. And I mean, I will say, like, my generation of team guys, I would say the overwhelming majority of them, a big part of why they joined was from reading, Rogue Warrior and the Vietnam SEAL books. Like,
great book.
Not that there's tons of them, but there's a number of them.
Yeah.
And that was a huge influence on, the Generation X special operations guys were reading the Vietnam books,
Absolutely.
I agree. I think, of course, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. But for sure it's important, So obviously a lot of good, combat stories and lessons learned, but there was it's not like the fifth operation, but the second operation that you wanted to talk about that stands out from that deployment.
Yeah, it was not even an operation. So we worked for 2-3 for most of the deployment, and then 3-4 ripped out with them, probably around, I want to say October, maybe. Had August, I don't know, at some point in time, right? They ripped out. And 2-3 did a better than average turnover with them. We were there, so there was continuity. So we went to the squad leaders like, hey, look, we've been everywhere out to X amount of clicks outside of here. We know where the bad guys are. We know where they're not. Right? This is where you should go. This is where you shouldn't go. If you need pictures, if you need anything, right, talk with us, right? Talk with the sniper team leader from 3-4, right? Like, do not, but when we also told them, do not go in the district center, right? There's nobody there. Like at this time, like there was literally nobody there. There's no need to push operations patrols into a ghost town that is littered with IEDs. IEDs, minefields, the whole kit and caboodle. Like, don't do it. Don't go there. And 3-4 basically just took that rip binder and like threw it out the window.
Was there even the option or discussion of ever just leveling that place since it was empty with only bad guys and a ton of IEDs?
What they ended up doing with it, they ended up, a friend of mine that was actually on my lacrosse team, my freshman year in college, Jammer. He was the engineer lieutenant. He had tried getting in the Marine Corps prior to college. They wouldn't let him in, enlisted because he had too many concussions. He graduated from RIT and then became an officer. And he literally, the day we flew down to pick up our vehicles from Camp Leatherneck, we were eating chow in the chow hall, and he walked in, and I was like, hey, mother effer, like from across the chow hall, hey, mother effer, and he looked up, he's like, hey, and he's like, oh, yeah, one of my squads is coming up to Now Zad. And I'm like, oh, that's where I'm at, so come up. And so he came up, and I almost got him out on a mission with me to be a minesweeper for me, but the CO realized what was going on at the last minute. But what they ended up doing with that place is they cleared it out and had a demining agency come in and clear it out. And he launched almost every MICLIC in Afghanistan when he was part of that operation. But, so...
What is a MICLIC?
MICLIC's a line charge that they shoot out. Like, it shoots out, basically...
Oh, like the old World War II anti-mining.
Yeah, like, like the sausage things, like off the cartoons, like twisted up. It looks like a sausage line pretty much, and it's all with C4, and it's supposed to land and blow up, and it blows up any of the mines or IEDs. But they misfire all the time. They're a huge piece of junk.
Oh.
So 2-3 did a great turnover. The sergeant major of the MEB flew up and gave the most unprofessional speech to the guys from 3-4 that we've ever heard. He must not realize that we were still there, right? And they goes like, oh, team leaders, squad leaders, go talk to Sergeant Major, right? And you think you're going to get one of these like motivational speeches like they do from time to time. Rah, rah, Siskumba, kill everybody. Like, oh, good job, man. But he's like, nope, 2-3, they were out here getting people killed, injured, the most unprofessional speech I'd ever heard in my life. And I'm like, does this guy freaking know that we were out here? Those were our brothers. We've been out here sweating and bleeding with them all summer long, right? And you're going to come up here and you're going to freaking make a speech like that? Get the fuck out of here. Like, dude, I was so disgusted. And I've seen that guy since then, since he's retired. And I've told him, like, hey, you were unprofessional. And that was bullshit. Because those dudes were freaking warriors. And the dudes from 3-4 went and punted it in the stands right after.
What did he say?
just said that they were reckless, said that they were not tactically sound. That's why guys were getting.
When you said that to him?
And he was like, "Oh, there's some things that I didn't get right, and that's probably one of them." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's absolutely one of them, dude. Right? You're talking shit about a freaking unit that was out here fighting the fight all summer long, right? Like, dude, why? Why would you do that? Like, it's insane to me that those words would ever even came out of his mouth about fellow warriors.
Yeah, wow.
So 3-4, like I said, they just threw the book away, in our opinions. And I actually met the sniper platoon commander probably like a month and a half ago, and we talked about this, what happened I'm about to discuss with you. And it'll come into play here in a minute. So the sniper team was going to go out and set up an OP and in the district center, like we told them not to. The platoon commander told me that they don't know how they ended up where they ended up. That was not the plan because he had flown out. And I just found this out, like I said, like a month ago. But we have no idea why the sniper team ended up where it did. He doesn't know, and I can obviously tell that it has kept him up at night. So anyways, the sniper team goes out to set up an OP, run a mission. They step on an IED. Like 5 out of 6 of them are messed up, bad. Some amputees, like, typical, a lot of IED, related injuries. QRF goes out. They get blown up. Vehicle down. Second QRF goes out. They push Pat, which then the second QRF had the shock trauma vehicle. So at the time, during that deployment, when the STP, shock trauma platoon, and the vehicles were starting to like be a thing. So this guy, he's a commander at the time, Barbabella, he ended up being the division surgeon, kind of a pioneer on battlefield medicine. When it came to like the tourniquets, they took shipping containers, put them in the back of 7 tons, and then rigged up mobile surgery. They had all surgical gear in there. They could do like a whole bunch of stuff. So second QRF had the shock trauma vehicles with it. So they freaking pushed past first QRF, cobbled together one QRF, hit another IED, and they're, called us up like, "Hey, Recon, can you, augment us?" Sure. I didn't, when we had to go. But at the time, you weren't supposed to leave the wire in anything but MRAPs. All we had was one MRAP, all the rest gun trucks. So that's what we rolled out in. And we were pissed off because we're getting ready to go home soon. Right? And we told them not to go there. Why are they in there? Like, what in the F is going on? Like, so we're freaking hot. Between the time of them calling us out and us getting out there, the first sergeant who's in charge of the second QRF, the shock trauma vehicles, they freaking pushed down this alley like as close as they could, which is still pretty far away from the team. And it's like, "Hey, we need to get to these guys, so start pushing." Dude steps on an IED and kills him. Yeah. Right? Now, the story, because I wasn't there, right, from multiple people, is that like, "Hey, first sergeant, we need a minesweeper," right? That's the SOP. And he said, "Push." Dude, they started push, stepped on an ID, and killed him. When we got there, other stories that the kid got out of the vehicle, started the push, and then stepped on an ID. Either way, right? Minesweeper, period. When you get out of a vehicle in that area, minesweeper. That's it. That was the SOP, because it's going to save your life, because there was IEDs everywhere. And so the first sergeant, when we got there, right, Kevin goes up to him like, "Hey, figure out what's going on here." And he's like, just staring off in the freaking no man's land, right? And he's like, "Hey, first sergeant, why don't you freaking get the LZ set up, right? We'll go get the guys, and we'll go get the casualties." And because he's standing there, right, we got a dead Marine, bunch of dudes who are on their first deployment, grunts, right? And he's just staring off. He's like, "Hey, first sergeant, why don't you set up the LZ?" Right? And he's just in the black, right? Combat ineffective. He's like, "Hey, first sergeant, why don't you get on the fucking truck?" Right? And he's like, yeah, I'll get on the truck. And he got on the truck.
Wow.
Right? And we went and rescued these guys. So now, right, and because me and Kevin were talking about it not long ago, right, we had 3 team leaders, the platoon sergeant, our 2 docs, and probably one other guy. All platoon leadership except for our platoon commander. Right, we marked over 30 IEDs to get to these guys, triaged them, and pulled them out of there. Right? Something's bad if all of the platoon's if we would have hit an IED, our platoon would have been ineffective if all of us died, because that's all the leadership, all the enlisted leadership right there. You know that something is bad if all of the leadership of a platoon is going to rescue guys. And we went down there, like I said, triaged them. We carried them out. They all lived, thankfully. And we frickin' load them up. We start to pull out. We're backing down the alley. And then MRAP, I had my head out the window or out the door like an idiot, make sure we're staying in the tracks of that we came in on so we don't hit an ID. And we backed over one and didn't know it because the MRAP went right past us and hit a 100-pounder. And frickin' was so big that it lifted our truck off the ground. At least it felt like it. And it was big enough that I did like the check, like I'm checking myself, right? Like, I thought I saw somebody in the ditch. It was actually the muffler from the MRAP that was over there. It looked like a knee that was up type thing. It's like out of our platoon, 90% of the platoon had grade 3 and 2 concussions because we had a ton of dudes in the MRAP that we shouldn't have. Like there was other down vehicles already, obviously. Right. And then to boot, the freaking battalion commander and gunner miraculously show up out on the battlefield in an MRAP, and they just get out and they start walking around. And I open the window. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get in your truck. You don't walk anywhere here without a mine sweeper. I don't know what you're doing. Get in your truck right before you fucking die. Right? And then all of a sudden I see him put his head down to the window, and I see the little black oak leaf. I'm like, crap. He's like, who are you? I'm like, oh shit. Right? I'm like, hey, I'm Sergeant Coop. Right? I've been here for the last 6 months. Right? Get in your truck and don't get out without a minesweeper because you will freaking step on ID and die. Right? He's like, thanks. Right? And then, so we cascade all the guys where they need to go. Like my slack man don't even remember that day because he was in the turret when they hit that thing. Then we went to the LZ, and I carried the same dude to the bird that when I had brought him to the truck the first time. Freaking amputee, and he's like, water. I need some water. They'd been on the ground for over an hour already, and I'm like, dude, I can't give you water, bro. That's like number one. He's like, no, I need water. So like, all right, if you choke on this dude and you die, I will come find you in the afterlife. I promise you, do not die on me. When I pulled him out of the vehicle to go to the bird, I was running for all I was worth because he looked like he was about to die though. Like he was bad shape. But they all lived. Went back out. We were getting mortared, shot at, but we recovered all the vehicles and all that, and went back, finished. So get the vehicles recovered. Guys all get checked out by the docs and stuff like that. And the next day or day after, they did a memorial service for the Marine who died. And that first sergeant, right, has got chewing his guys out, has them out on the fob picking up trash, right, before this memorial service. I'm like, hey, man, this is Afghanistan. This whole freaking country is a trash hole, number one, right? So number two, these guys' freaking friend, their brother, just died. You're making them pick up police call, pick up trash, like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Like, that's a dick move right there, And, that guy's got a freaking Bronze Star. He's the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He's got a Bronze Star with a V from that deployment. And we put him on the truck.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. May is Mental Health Awareness, and I want to take a second to actually mean that, not just say it. Where are you at right now? Not the answer you give people just when they ask, but the actual real one. Because a lot of us are carrying more than we let on. Sleepless nights, thoughts that won't quiet down, stress that just sits in your chest and doesn't move. You keep pushing forward because that's what you do. But at some point, pushing through it alone stops working. We're wired to think that figuring it out ourselves is the strong move, and I get it, but some of the most capable, disciplined people I know have had to learn the hard way that having someone in your corner, someone who actually listens without an agenda, changes things. That's what BetterHelp is built for. They connect you with a fully licensed therapist through a short questionnaire that matches you based on your actual needs and what you're going through. There's over 30,000 therapists, more than 6 million people served worldwide. And if your match isn't the right fit, you can switch anytime, no hassle. You don't have to be on this journey alone. Find support and have someone with you in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/micdrop. That's betterhelp.com/micdrop. He's the sergeant major.
The sergeant major of the Marine Corps right now. Wow. And we put him on the truck. And what galls me, right, because this story has ruffled some feathers for the young infantrymen, because they saw me talk about it on another podcast, and they were messaging me like, hey, you're a piece of shit, right? Like, that's not what went down. And I'm like, hey, dude, it is what went down. Like, oh, he was the best first sergeant. He was wonderful. He was awesome. Like, I don't care, right? But on that day, he wasn't, right? On that day, he wasn't at all. And I asked him, like, hey, what rank were you? PFC, Lance Corporal, right? Was that your first firefight? Yes. Was that the first time that you saw someone die? Yes. Right? So you're looking through the eye, right? Looking through the straw, right? Like, you got the eye of the gerbil, young Marine, warfighter, right? We were all there at one point in time. But this was our backyard. We've been there for over 6 months already. This is another day for us. This is what we've been doing for 6 months, is slogging it out with these assholes, right? With the freaking Taliban, with the guys from 2-3, and now these guys. So I'm not going to take the word, not that I'm not going to take the word of a Lance Corporal, right, at the time, but now they're gunnies and master sergeants and all that, right? But I'm going to take the word of a platoon of recon Marines that are, no one's less than an E5, all E5 and above, right? I'm going to take the word of the guys who've been there, who saw it, right? So it's like, because it's corroborated, it happened, right? And it galls me because the Sergeant Major Marine Corps put out a thing on Instagram, and it was literally probably a month before that other episode dropped, and I'm not calling him out for saying, like, there's things I could say, right, that people can come to their own conclusions, but he's like, on this day, I think it's October 26th, I feel like it sticks out, but he's like, on this day, right, I was in the truck, and I remember a Marine banging on my hatch, and we had 14 casualties that day and a KIA and whatever. And I'm like, well, number one, it wasn't a Marine that banged on your hatch. It was my narc, my point man, beat on your freaking hatch to tell you whatever it is that you want to recollect, right? But you were combat ineffective. Why? And I want to have a conversation with him about it, right? It's not about, right, the things I could say, right, or what it looks like from the outside, right? That was his first time in combat too. The guy, I think he was a supply guy, a lot of time on the drill field, typical that the Marine Corps thinks it's fit to throw him as a first sergeant in an infantry company, right? So it's his first combat experience too. I'm pretty sure of that. But what happened on that day, the discussion I want to have is what happened on that day that made you ineffective, right? You have a Bronze Star with a V from that deployment. And I'll guarantee you, if I did a Freedom of Information Act request on that, right, that day, what happened, the actions on that day are in that summary of action, right? And we put you on the truck. What made you combat ineffective? What was going through your head? Am I ever going to get that conversation? Probably not, right? But if it's as simple as, hey, my first time in combat, like I froze up, I made a mistake, I made the wrong call. Sending the guy down the alley could be, like, if that's the judgment call you made on the ground, right, then anybody could make that mistake. I could have, you could have. Anybody can make a mistake in combat that can result in men dying. Right? That's the reality of the business that we're in. But I want to know what was going through your head and why you did what you did on that day, so I know for me, right, because you were combat ineffective. Right, and now you're talking about it, and you've moved into some very senior levels of leadership in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
So you haven't
heard from him?
Absolutely not.
But other guys have reached out and been giving you shit about
it. And with like the new information, like nobody know they weren't supposed to. That sniper team wasn't supposed to be there. Did they get lost? You know, like how did they end up there? Like, and it sucks. It sucks because 2-3 did a good turnover with them. We went to talk to them. It's like you're being ignored, right? And when people don't take your advice, we're not freaking giving you advice because like we want glory or anything. We're giving you advice so you stay alive, right? That was the most kinetic place in Afghanistan at the time, right? And you didn't heed any of that advice. Why?
Yeah, that's rough.
Anyways,
Yeah,
that was the last one I want to tell you. I guess on that.
No, I mean that sounds like a brutal way to finish that deployment. How long were you home for after that deployment until you ended up going back?
I was home I came back in December 2009, probably 2 years. I went down the Force Company when I got back. Went down to Curacao and trained a couple times. That doesn't count as a deployment though. But did some schools, did some training, and then we deployed like 3 months early because of Arab Spring in 2011.
Okay. And back to Afghanistan?
No, we went. We were on ship. We were on the MEU, and we were in the Med, and then we were in CENTCOM, and all over the place. That was when, on that deployment, the SEAL team came down from Norway and hit a target vessel that was like 60 clicks from us. That like kind of made us really butthurt. Really butthurt, man. I guess the only thing I need to do as a recon Marine that would have rounded out my career was a live VBSS. The guys are doing them right now, so good on them. But we trained a hostage rescue team in Qatar. We did some stuff in Djibouti. We were supposed to go into Uganda and train the Ugandans to find Joseph Kony, but we didn't get to do that because the Marine Corps leadership is awesome. And it was a 11-month MEU pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, it sucked.
What ship were you on?
I was on the Dirty Nickel, the USS Baton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. We called them ARG Alphas, Amphibious Readiness Group Alphas. My first deployment, and spent 7 months on a ship. It was pretty brutal, but
yeah. Then you guys got pulled off because on my first MEU we had a SEAL team with us too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. We did respond to the USS Cole getting bombed. That's when we were out at sea for 63 days with no resupply, which was brutal.
Terrible.
It was a logistics thing because the Cole came into the port in Aden, Yemen, for a resupply and got attacked. And so for a few month period, they completely shut down all in-port resupplies until they could figure out, how to do it in a secure manner. And so it was all underway replenishment, and it was real patchy. And then we babysat the Cole for 2 months after it got bombed, and then took a USNS ship, which was like going on a fucking Carnival cruise after being
those things are nice.
Yeah, after being on the Duluth for 5 months or whatever. And then we went into Dubai and set up like a super secure in-port replenishment where we vetted all the tugboats and all of the pallets going in and whatever. But the underway or ship deployments for Marines and SEALs are a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You've mentioned on a number of occasions holes in leadership, and it is interesting that the SEAL teams are certainly not immune to it either. I'm curious to get your take or opinion on why there's such inconsistency in the military, specifically in combat fighting units, because I think most people, including myself or even us, would assume that if there's one industry, for lack of better terms, where you can't have that, and just almost inherently by default you wouldn't have that, there still is.
Right.
Can you shed any light, or do you have a theory as to why even in combat fighting U.S. military units it's still very hit and miss for good leaders? Because there's some of the best in the world,
right,
and there's also some absolutely abhorrent ones.
I have a couple theories. One is that 10%, right? We joke around like there's 10%, right? Even though you're a SEAL, a Recon, Force Recon, or a Raider, or whatever, even Dev Group, even, CAG, right? Like there's 10%. We all have our 10%, right? When it comes to big military, right, that 10%, when you start off as just a nug at the bottom, right, that's not that much. But as you get promoted, right, and as they get promoted, that 10% becomes astronomically large when they're at the E8 and E9 level.
It's like compounding interest.
Right,
Yeah.
right. All of a sudden, that 10% is major. It's big. The other, and that is part of the problem. The other thing is that the Marine Corps' theory on leadership is that you're a leader, right? Everybody can be a leader. That's honestly not the case. I know guys who are amazing team leaders, terrible platoon sergeants. I know guys who are team leaders, great platoon sergeants, and then terrible ops chiefs, right? Not everyone is a leader. Certain guys are amazing at certain things. Not everybody is cut out to be a leader. Sometimes they brainwash you into thinking that, yep, all right, well, you're the first sergeant, right? And you're the God's gift to man when you're not, right? And sometimes it could be a lack of humility and humbleness, right? It can be a over eagerness to implement the Marine Corps way, right? One thing I think the Army does right that we get really wrong, especially in infantry, recon, raider communities, is that you can, as an E8 and 9, you can be a first sergeant or you can be the ops guy, and they can flip-flop. That would help out our combat arms jobs a lot.
Yeah.
I think that people get so brainwashed by the system that that's all that they know at that E8 and E9 level, and they don't have any, I don't even know, like the proper vernacular, like eludes me right now. Like they're so brainwashed by the system, they can't focus on anything else.
Like a lack of operational situational awareness.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Oh, sorry. Go.
So many guys have had their careers ruined by over, eager, leaders, let's say, right, who do things that are illegal.
Yeah.
Right, like a DUI. You're not supposed to NJP or captain's mask somebody for a DUI until it's been adjudicated out in town, right? But they'll be like, oh, well, we'll get him with the Article 134 and failure to obey a direct order. Well, how do you know? Oh, because he was drinking, he blew, and he got a Dewey. But if it gets dismissed out in town, those guys don't understand to go back and get that NJP wiped off their record.
Right.
I mean, I got court-martialed, so I peeked behind the freaking curtain of the system.
You did?
I did, yeah.
For what?
I bought some sappy plates out in Vietnam while we're doing some CQB. It's a whole war zone out there, bro. I bought some sappy plates.
They court-martialed you for that?
Yep, I bought them. And then I got some VBSS test sappies when I was an instructor at SOTG, Special Operations Training Group. And I sold them to an undercover NCIS agent because I wasn't being reconly, right? Marine Corps order states, honestly, that if I buy my own gear, I'm allowed to. It's actually supposed to be put in my unit diary. People don't know that. And, so they investigated me for like 2 years. I went to court-martial, even though the prosecutor had recommended a 6105, which is a page 11 entry, on not one, but 5 occasions. Problem with SOTG is that my Colonel Kenny, he didn't have convening authority. We fell under MHG. They fixed that now after my situation. Other problem is that the AOIC, whose name is Winston Tierney, got fired from 2 recon platoons when he was a young officer, and I watched him ruin probably 4 or 5 guys in my section's careers because he's a recon hater.
Oh, wow.
So between him and the adj up there at MHG, they're like, no, send him to
MHG?
Marine Headquarters Group.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, send him to court-martial. Well, we went to court-martial. I had a stack of papers that thick, probably 2 inches thick, of Sergeant Major Hoopy, who's the Mickey East Sergeant Major, selling Mitch helmets, body armor, the who's who in the zoo from Virginia, right, from Little Creek down to where we were in Camp Lejeune, and that whole area of everybody, colonels, sergeant majors, all ranks, all everything, selling the same things I was selling. They alleged that NCIS was making it sound like I was running a gear store out of my backyard. Well, I've been in the Marine Corps 15 freaking years. I've got a whole pile of stuff that I don't use that's mine, And we went in and we slayed the prosecution, but they wouldn't allow any of my evidence from my PI in, and they wouldn't allow the receipt that I had for the plates into evidence. Oh, wow. So we slayed. I could talk about that, but we slayed the prosecution. The jury 6 hours, 8 hours to found me guilty, and then during the sentencing hearing, during the sentencing hearing, they relaxed the rules of evidence. So then they got all the receipts, they got the papers from the PI, and they went in and they came out with my sentence within like 10 minutes. And I was like, literally 15 minutes tops probably. And I was like, I was ready to rip my chevrons off my Charlie shirt, like right then and there. Like, worst thing they could have done to me was bust me down the sergeant and give me the big chicken dinner. They gave me a $835 fine.
No shit.
That was it. So that's exactly what NCIS paid me for the plates. Because it was like 2 sets of sappies, like a case of MREs, and like a bouncer, and all they gave me was $835 fine, which is less than half month's paying allowance for an E7 at NJP if they NJP'd me.
Wow.
And it probably, my lower estimate, has cost the government $250,000 to court-martial me. They had to fly people from Okinawa, people from all over the world for my witnesses, character witnesses and stuff. And I got found guilty because they say it's a jury of your peers. It's not, right? I had no 03 anythings on my jury, 0. And they're all LE battalion and Intel battalion. And the head juror was sitting in my classroom like 2 weeks after the court-martial for blue-green integration for the MEU. And I was like, what happened? And he's like, got it. I'm like, yeah, what happened? He's like, us Mustangs, we thought you're innocent, but the warrant officers wanted to see you burn. They don't like recon Marines. They thought you were arrogant on the stand. They thought your witnesses were arrogant on the stand. And they wanted to see you burn. So like peeking behind the curtain of the real military, of all the things that you're told from boot camp, until 2015 when that happened, found out that it was all a lie, right? Oh, we've got your back, right? Band of brothers, this, that. Well, if a prosecutor freaking recommends a 6105, and that's what the prosecutor says, because I know the prosecutor now. He was best friends with my lawyer. They're still friends to this day. My lawyer just retired. He's like, I believe that he was innocent. The judge said if it was judge alone, he would have acquitted me, but that's a dicey thing to freaking do too. Right. So I got, found guilty because I was a recon Marine. I've done a lot of stuff that I could have gotten in trouble for in my career. Honestly, this is just the one thing that
actually stuck.
That stuck, that I shouldn't have gotten in trouble for.
Wow.
So,
Man,
and when you see that, and you understand finally the amount of illegal stuff that commands do, like there is massive leadership problems military-wide. I mean, in your community, what happened with Eddie, like I paid very, very close attention to that. The MARSOC 3, right? The system is meant to break you, to grind you up and spit you out.
Yeah, my if you want to call it a theory, I mean, my observation, I would say, and of course this is anecdotal to my experience, but is that I think it really boils down to the promotion system is the reason for it, and in that, the good officers and even senior enlisted leadership that are legitimately good warfighting officers from an operational standpoint don't give a shit about promotion. Not only do they not give a shit about it, they're not strategically mapping their entire 20 years out to check, the most bang for your buck box to make that next grade. The guys that are shitty warfighters, shitty leaders, and they're
checking the boxes.
Yeah, they're chess gaming their way through the system to make sure that they get the earliest promote the next thing because they have this qualification, whatever. I mean, to me, it's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that it's a promotion problem.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And, they say it pays to be a winner. That's not the truth, right? Mediocrity gets rewarded.
Yeah.
That is a huge problem. And the guys who may bend the rules a little bit or play in the gray area so their men get the training, the gear, the things that they need to be successful in combat, which means you go to combat, right? You come home, you bring all your men home alive with all their limbs, right? And you slayed some bodies for the freaking, for the cause, right? The guys who will do that, always very few of them make it to retirement, or they make it to the E8, E9 game, because inevitably you circle the flame enough, you're gonna get burnt.
Yeah, and I think the secondary problem with that is that, that kind of vengeful spitefulness from those guys that are the career-oriented folks have a huge insecurity because they're not well liked. They haven't done the things that the guys that have legitimate warrior respect from the men on the ground type of thing. Right. And so it's just like double whammy of, they're shitty leaders and they're insecure because they haven't done a quarter of the things that the guys that they're trying to hammer, it's just such a shitty combination.
Yeah. And, I joked earlier about that I'm not good at being a silent professional, which is absolutely the truth. But when you hear people say, silent professional, especially in the soft community, right? That's what weak leaders tell their men, so they don't have to hear outside the box thinking. Mm-hmm. That's weak leadership. Is there a time to be a silent professional? Absolutely there is. But is that all the time? No, it's not. That is what weak leaders tell their men and convince them, so that way they don't have to hear it. Yeah. Right? They don't have to hear it because they they don't want to hear it anymore, right? But the outside the box thinkers, right, by shutting them up and doing that you're stymieing growth. You're stymieing innovation, right? You're not allowing all these things that make us as the best warriors on the planet who we are. Yeah. Because that's what wins wars. Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's the business that we were in, right? Is winning of wars, right? The current Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, he's not a warrior. We need warriors in charge because, God forbid, we get into they're near peer. Everyone's freaking out about that and all that stuff. Like, God forbid we get into a near peer fight and we don't have warriors as leaders because we don't have them. That's been this terrible shift over the last decade. It's pretty disgusting, honestly,
Yeah, what's I'd say equally frustrating is that it's nothing new. I mean, like, going back to, say, even World War II, like, the intricacies of Patton, and I don't remember the other general's name.
MacArthur?
No, it was in from North Africa up through southern Italy. Like the ego fragility that existed between those two guys, like how bad they fucked their own guys over,
right?
Because they wanted to be the first to a certain location and whatever, is mind bending.
It absolutely is.
I mean, like there's so many, and I'm sure it goes back to Genghis Khan probably had lieutenants or generals or whatever that did the same dumb shit or whatever.
Right.
It just seems like it's human nature, and we could spend days talking about shitty leadership, but I did want to ask you about the Purple Heart, as well as I saw a clip you talking about a pro vigil story that made me laugh that I wanted to have you share.
All right. So I got the Purple Heart the night after we pulled out of Bar Now Zad, and I got knocked out in that IED.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I wouldn't have taken it if I known I was getting it, because it was grade 3 concussion.
Yeah.
And, like, technically, by standards, our entire platoon rates Purple Hearts from the day that that we had to go rescue the snipers, because 90% of the platoon had grade 2 and 3 concussions for that. Yeah. But it showed up. My mom got a letter, actually. Like, next time I called her, she was like, "Hey, is there something you want to tell me?" I'm like, last time I was on the phone with you, rounds came over the wall and hit above my head, because it did happen. She's like, "No. Did you get hurt?" I'm like, I got some grenades trapped in the limb, man. She's like, what do you get a Purple Heart for? I'm like, oh crap. Like I saw it popped up on my Marine Online. That's how I knew I got it. I didn't know I was getting it. Otherwise I would have said like no, because it's a grade 3 concussion. Does it warrant it? Yeah, absolutely. It does. And knowing now what we know now about TBIs especially, like yes, absolutely. So all right, the Provigil, because we are who we are, and we're simple guys at best. So who doesn't love a good shit yourself story? So now, and for all the listeners, right, I now know that Provigil is not government issued speed, but like at the time, we're told like, hey, this is what they give soft guys, right? You're supposed to try it out first, right? We didn't. We'd been up for a couple days. Doc's like, hey, look, I got some Provigil. Like we get in, take this whenever you start getting tired, and it'll wire you up, right? Government issue. It's like speed. Right, it's like that's what we're told. Like that's what I'm going with. I now know, people, it's not. But anyway, we had been up for a while. Ran a mission, came back, and the grunts are like, "Hey, the Taliban always reinforces from this part of the Greens. There's a trail, right? Why don't you guys go out tonight, set up an ambush?" And then we'll go over in this area. We'll set off a fake IED, start going through down vehicle drills and all that. And when they reinforce, you guys kill them all. We're like, hell yeah, man. Like this is like School of Infantry textbook like stuff right here. We're gonna go set up an ambush position, L-shaped, like yes, claymores, right? The whole kit and caboodle. We're jazzed up about this. So we go out. We had to go through, part of the district center to get where we're going, and there's a field out there. And our SOP at the time in the district center, what we would do, we'd have the engineer with the minesweeper. We had the big tall water bottles, half full of water, half full of IR Chemlite juice with holes popped in the top. So if he found or detected what he thought was an IED, he would squirt the ground so we could see it with our nods. And then we would literally hold on to each other's shoulders, and we would step into the footprints of the guy in front of us. Oh, wow. And that's how we had it like down like a freaking, like it's part of our rehearsals, like pre-mission rehearsals. If this is in the highly IED'd area, this is how we move. Left, right, the whole deal. Well, first thing I see is the engineer's name is Tom Martin. He's crazy as all hell. Is him tap the ground, right? So he's in front of the point man. I'm like, what the hell? And then I see him go like this with his foot, and I grab Leo, the point man. I start backing him up, right? And then the dude jumps on it, right? And I'm like, with both feet too. I'm like, oh, what the F are you doing? Like, I'm like, Tom, what do you do? What do you do? He's like, better my legs than yours, right? I'm like, no. Yeah, no, don't. He's like, don't. I'm like, don't. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, don't do that, dude. So we're going through this field. We were probably maybe 100, 150 meters into it, and he had used 2 bottles of IR Chemlite juice. There was mines. It was a Russian minefield we didn't know about. IEDs, mines. Some of them you could see, some you couldn't. I was like, go around. We backed out, went all the way around, getting this freaking ditch. And my team's like here, Lance's team's over here. We're talking textbook L shape. Claymores are out. We're freaking Cobra hooded up. My ATL, he's like cross-legged behind the freaking tripod, gillied up, freaking everything. Like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And so sun starts coming up, and it's already like $120, hotter than all hell. Right, I'm getting tired because that's when you're gonna get tired. And we've been away a couple of days, so I pop a Provigil. Sun's coming up, and I'm like, I'm like, oh gosh, like, and I already got like IBS issues, anyways, because like I've had a lot of surgeries on this knee and stuff, and on that deployment, I was taking this stuff called Indocin. I think it was called Indocin, like a pain reliever for my knee and all that. So there was, and I got dysentery on that deployment too. It just, there was already some like issues, right? But I took that stuff, and it was like probably within not long, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Visine.
Dude, in the sun, yeah, dude, it was like that, yeah, dude, it was like that, like on a freaking Wedding Crashers, Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm in this little ditch, right, gillied up, and like all I can do is just pull my pants down, lean to the side, and just blow mud all over the ditch, right? Like violent, right? And it's like. I'm thinking about like my mindset. I'm like, I'm so fucking pissed off, right? I'm like, this is Taliban time. I'm shitting all over this ditch, right? My guts are just all over the freaking place. If I start getting shot at right now, like I'm gonna have to duke it out with these assholes with shit down the side of my cheeks. It smells. It's all over the ditch. Like I'm trying to reach into my ruck, right? Get the baby wipe out without breaking the plane. Like, so it's a target indicator, right? Because the baby wipes are white, right? And just get it off me.
All right, so I want to talk about something I didn't think I'd ever, frankly, care about, and that's taking care of your skin. I'm not a guy with a routine, never have been. But when you're outside a lot, dealing with the sun, the wind, the cold, your skin can really take a beating. And at some point, you start noticing it. Dryness, irritation, just looking worn down. Particle sent me their face cream to try, and I have to tell you, what sold me is how simple it is. It's one product. 30 seconds after you shower or shave. It's not greasy. There's no overpowering smell. It just works. There's no 10-step routine, no nonsense. If you want to take care of your skin without making it complicated, this is it. Go to particleformen.co/micdrop and use code MicDrop to get 20% off. Again, that's particleformen.co/micdrop, code MicDrop, all caps, all one word. It's simple, it's no nonsense, takes a few seconds, and you're good to go.
Right, because it's like running down my cheeks. Like, did I shit myself per se? No, right, but it was like running down my cheeks because that's all you can do when you can lean to the side to blow mud all over the ditch. Tom's right next to me holding rear security. I was so, like, when I got myself cleaned up from that and like put some dirt over it, I was so pissed off. Like, I didn't talk for hours. I'm just sitting there pissed.
Was it just the one time?
What's that?
Was it just the one blowout?
No, there was probably like two. There was probably two blowouts, but it just, I'd say probably at max of 3, right? But they were in pretty short succession, thankfully.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a day-long event. One of our other corpsmen, he had, I don't know what the hell happened, but he had to get an EpiPen. Leo had to crawl all the way over him, low crawl, skull drag, because he had allergic reaction to something that was in wherever they were at. Wow. Had EpiPen him. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm looking down to the left, and I see Teeth, my ATL, and Kevin, who's JTAC, and right, sitting there, and they're in a bee's nest. Bees are just around them, and they're like this. Like every once in a while, like also, he's like trying to wipe the bees away. It's hotter than all F. And Tom's like, are you mad at me? I'm like, no. We're in an ambush position. Stop talking. Right? He's like, you sure you're not mad? I'm like, no, I'm not mad. Right? But I'm like, dude, I just shit myself. It's hotter than F. Right? Like, I'm waiting here for us to freaking kill somebody. You know, the grunts do their thing, right? Set off the fake IED. And one of our guys was with the SIGINT guys. And all of a sudden, he's on the radio. He's going, Ali Akbar, Ali Akbar, you're all going to die. This is what the Taliban are saying. You're all going to die. So we're like, now our sphincters are like tight. We're like, oh, baby, it's go time, man. They say they're going to die. We got something for you. Come on down that path, bro, because we're about to clack off on your asses. Nobody came. It's like literally worst day ever. Like people are like, that's really narcissistic, like a really psychologically evil thing for you to say. Like, no. Ever since you're a young little Marine in boot camp and you start learning about, you know, tactics of weapons, and then you're at SOI, the most simple, basic ambush you can do is the L shape, right? And it was textbook perfect, but nobody came down the path. And I shit myself, obviously, right? And then, you know, all that hubbub of the Taliban saying that they're going to kill us all, and nobody comes down the path.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, like that's why it's a bad day. Like, I don't. Who out there? Why wouldn't you think that's a bad day? This is everything that you ever trained to do since you're a young little crunchy, right? To do this ambush, right? And it's textbook. It's perfect. It was going to be beautiful. Right? I sound like freaking the president right now. It's beautiful, right? It was beautiful, and we didn't get to kill anybody. Terrible day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Pro Vigil did that. That's a common thing?
So for certain people, yeah. For certain people, it is definitely a side effect.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's, I guess, what we're supposed to test
sound like
it first.
a side effect. That sounds like an effect.
In effect, 100%, yeah.
All right. So after that, mostly ship deployment, you spent some time as an instructor, and then kind of fast forwarding the last few years of your career, ultimately end up in a medical retirement. Can you kind of bridge that gap from
Yeah.
those last few years and how that transpired, and then ultimately getting into setting up the nonprofit.
Yeah. So after my accident, I got into hunting a lot because I was sitting home feeling sorry for myself. Broken femur, back, all that. So I bought a bow off eBay. Started hobbling around in the woods with a back brace and a cane. Didn't shoot any deer that year. Didn't shoot any deer for a couple of years, actually. But became hooked on hunting, and that really is like what saved me from myself, like tiptoeing that precipice that we find ourselves on from time to time. So when I was at SOTG, right, and I started getting investigated by NCIS, I was like, you know what? Like, this is how this is going to be, right? Like, I was Force Recon Team Leader of the Year before going there, right? I have a decorated career. I've worked put everything I am into my career in the Marine Corps, my men, sometimes to my detriment, and this is how I'm going to be treated. So it's time for me to take care of me. So I started, I went to the TBI clinic, went there. I started getting the surgeries I needed to do. I had like 5 procedures on this left knee, and I look like a strapping fella, but I'm a medical nightmare. So I started, I mean, as a lot of us are, right, in our jobs, after doing it for that long, especially. So I started doing stuff, to get myself healed up. And in case the worst happened, because the worst outcome came, that I had all my medical stuff documented. So I was already researching, like, let's say that they did give me the freaking big chicken dinner, right? Like, I'm entitled to VA compensation for every period of honorable service that I did, right? So I wanted to make sure all my paperwork was in order in case the worst happens. I got screwed, which I got thrown into a pile of shit and came out as much like a ruby as I could, honestly, because they wanted to ad set me after that too, and that finally Chad Ramsey again saved my ass and the doc, and they were like, hey, send him to the Wounded Warrior Battalion, right? Like, the colonel legitimately said, like, hey, if I would have known all this, I would never sent him to court martial. I would have 6105 them, sent him to the Wounded Warrior Battalion. So he was just signing papers that came to him. But I ended up going to the Wounded Warrior Battalion, and there started to, now it's what do I do post-service? Not necessarily who am I, right? Like, I'll always be a Marine, always be a recon Marine, but it's not what I'm going to let define me and who I am moving forward as a man, and as a warrior. And I think that's really important to find that next mission, so to speak. But at Wounded Warrior Battalion, I wasn't necessarily there by choice, but I needed to be there as part of my journey, my process.
Can you explain what it is?
Wounded Warrior Battalion is where you go, and each branch kind of has one. You go there to get healthy. You either get healthy or you get medically separated or retired out of there. For me, it was a step for medical retirement. They have what they call war peace, a rehabilitation, basically. They've got trainers there to work around your injuries. You can swim, you can, gym, whatever. They have like Wounded Warrior Adaptive Sports there. Like, if you're an amputee, it is a place for you to go to heal physically and mentally. Does it happen that way for a lot of guys? For a lot of units, it's a dumping ground of sick, lame, and lazies. When I was there, I'm very thankful. My platoon commander he was a gunny too. I had to talk when I got there. I said, look, I'm not playing the Marine Corps game here. I'll go to my appointments. I'll do my rehab, but I'm not putting on a uniform every day. I'll come and dress professionally, like contractor attire, right? I'll be professional. Don't mess with me, and I won't mess with you, because I will make your life miserable. Way more miserable than you can make mine. Don't fuck with me, right? That's where I'm at with my career. Don't mess with me. And he was like, all right. And for the most part, they did not. Had a couple things that we had to have some talks about. But when I was there, I got to go on the Cater and Yomp with Allied Forces Foundation, which was the United Kingdom's second largest Wounded Warrior event. So you can go do 25-mile, 35-mile or 50-mile hike in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh, wow.
It's freaking, it was an amazing experience. I did the 25 because I didn't train for it. They're like, hey, do you want to do the Catter and Yamp in Scotland? I'm like, sounds cool. When is it? Like, next week. I'm like, oh, I'm like, ooh.
Let's do the 50-miler.
Didn't train for that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, crap. But great experience. A couple of the guys there, Danish Army Recon guy, he has come over here to hunt with the organization a couple times, so made some really good friends. And yes, my time at Wounded Warrior Battalion, I also did an internship as a hunting guide up at T&M Hunting Properties in Four Oaks, North Carolina. I'd had the privilege of doing some hunts down here in Texas with Combat Marine Outdoors, great organization. A couple other hunts with some other organizations, and I had asked, and I sent a lot of people hunting with them over the years, lots, like a couple hundred, easy. I'm like, hey, let's do an East Coast thing, right? And they're like, nah, not really interested in it. So I'm like, okay. So I finally get medically retired. It took me longer than normal because I just am not the guy that, like, doctors must have looked at me and they're like, there ain't nothing wrong with that dude, right? Even when I like put on my sad face, like my woe is me face, it was not. It took me a long time to make it happen because at first they're like 80% VA and 20% DOD. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Finally, 100% and 75% or 70%, and they made it happen. But doing the internship as a hunting guide, one got me outside because I've always loved being outside. I don't like being cooped up ever. I didn't really want to do the, training stuff, right? Be like, oh, why don't you teach, marksmanship or CQB or whatever? And I'm like, I've done that, right? I've done that, right? I wrote the freaking curriculums for it. I've done all of that. And I still do that sometimes. Every once in a while, I'll teach some shooting or some CQB or whatever. But I'm not going to do that as my main job. I need something that gets me outdoors, something that I enjoy doing. I'm going to live my life on my own accord, right? Not for the man or as I want to do it. So I was working as a hunting guide up there at T&M, and when I retired, I did that for a while. Tony and I actually talked about starting the Reason then in 2017. I'm really glad that we didn't because I was too much of like a Force Recon Gunnery Sergeant, thing, and how I spoke to people really was not polished yet. My hustling skills were not that good, but over the years of guiding thousands of clients, that's helped that. So I worked there, and then I decided to leave there, start my own guide service with another guy I know. Built that to a turnkey operation. Mortalis Outdoor Adventures was the name of it. And then I sold it to my business partner. Started Hunting Carolinas, which is my kind of my private hustle, so to speak. I do some VIP hunts for clients that followed me through 3 guide services, do some predator eradication, do some gear and equipment testing for companies, and I run a couple pro staffs for a couple companies, and my hunting journey as well. And then 3 years ago, Tony and our other co-founder, Drew, we were going to go back out to Idaho because we'd gone out to Idaho when I first retired on what we affectionately called the Hunt from Hell. We went out there, DIY, Unit 39, right outside Idaho City, and skunked out, hiked hundreds of miles, almost got ran off the road and rolled the truck. Had guys blow past us on the trail and shoot at the elk that we just spent 3 hours stalking. I mean, you name it, like almost had to pull guns on people. Like it was legitimately like what we call the Hunt from Hell. And so we're like, we're not going to Idaho next year because of this last experience. But then we're like, skipped a year, and Tony's like, hey, maybe we should bring a couple guys who've never hunted the backcountry and mentor them. We can't guide them, but we can, mentor them. This is how you do things in the backcountry, whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So we found the guys, and then he was like, I think now's the time. I'm like, dude, absolutely. Like, let's do this. When we'd first entertained starting a nonprofit, we'd had a lawyer. We were getting the paperwork set up, and then he disappeared because he had his own nonprofit down in Haiti. And I think an earthquake or hurricane happened, and then we kind of never heard from him, and we never really retabled it either. So we freaking submitted our stuff to the IRS, and for once the IRS was timely, and like 2 weeks later, like, bam, you're a nonprofit. You can start taking donations. We're like, oh crap, now we're going to do this freaking backcountry hunt. We got James, our media guy. He was coming with our other buddy, Dustin. He was going to do media for us. And we're like, oh, now we need to raise money for this too. So we're like calling everybody we know, like, hey, help us out, help us fund this, etc. And so our very first hunt as a nonprofit was backcountry Idaho elk hunt, which is like the second hardest hunt you can do in the lower 48. So we bit it off hard, as you know, guys of our profession tend to do from time to time. And a lot of learning occurred on that trip, but also a lot of healing too, because one of the guys, we had just gone up, it was probably at least 3,000 feet of elevation, if not 4, in an afternoon. It was a terrible climb. Me and James, our media guy, we almost came to blows on the hike up there. I got to the top, I threw my pack down, and frickin' Tony's like, is everything all right? I'm like, I don't want him near me. He's like, all right, well, you take him with you, Glass over there, I'll take James over here with me. I'm like, all right, cool. But when we went to go Glass, me and the guy with me, he sat there and said to me, he was like, hey, if it wasn't for this hunt, I would have put a pistol in my mouth and blown my head off 6 months ago.
Damn.
When Tony put on the Instagram, he said that he was sitting on the couch, and he had his pistol loaded. He was going to put it in his mouth, and the door opened, and his girlfriend came in. He put the pistol under the couch cushion and looked up his phone. And like first post he sees on the gram is Tony asking veterans to apply to come on this hunt with us. And he's like, that gave me purpose. It gave me something to train for, gave me something to look forward to. He's gone to Tony's long range classes. He helps us out now all the time with whatever we need. He's, we keep guys in the program, and him telling me that, like, let me know that we're doing the right thing. Like, I know how that being outdoors and hunting saved me, but we've had at least 5 guys so far tell us, like, hey, if it wasn't for this hunt or fishing trip, I would have ran my truck into a tree at 100 miles an hour. I would have done this, that, and the other, left my kids, fatherless. Yeah. So it shows that we are doing the right thing, and like sometimes I told a group of folks last week, because I had talked to them last year, and made some old ladies cry. Made my buddy Jim cry, actually. He's like, I will never speak after you ever again. He's like, I didn't know you had that in you. But I'm like, I gave him an update, and I'm like, hey, look, I haven't cracked the code. I don't know how to stop veteran or first responder suicide, but I know that we're working on it. Ecotherapy, we call it the exit, is truly therapy. Is hunting and fishing for everyone? No, but the camaraderie, if you've never hunted before, it doesn't matter if people have hunted or fished before. I'm terrible at fishing. I go with people who know how to fish so I can learn. I'm good at hunting. I'm a man of the land. If guys haven't hunted, we teach them. We do some field to table stuff. Explain how to scout, the who, the what, the where, the why. Whether we're shooting iguanas in Florida with air rifles, or we're hunting elk or hogs, or we're doing nuisance or depredation hunts for farmers in the local area. We will teach them why, the how, do some field to table cooking, and then the camaraderie of being around like-minded individuals. If I take you, an airman, cop, freaking Army guy, and somebody else, right? Some combat, some no combat, doesn't matter, right? And I put everybody together. By the end of a weekend, they're all going to be best friends, like-minded individuals in the outdoors. There's inevitably going to be some ball busting. We know that, and they're all going to learn from each other. They're all going to expand their networks and find fellowship, brotherhood, and friends. And I think a lot of guys lose that. If I've got guys who've only done, a 4 years, hitch, let's say, I'd like to mix them in with guys who have been there and done that. Like I remember what it was like to be that grunt who got out after 4 years and how disillusioned I was with the institution and the Marine Corps, right? Like, yeah, F the Marine Corps, But But what you don't realize is that those guys are your family, right? That unit, that tight-knit group was your family. And some guys have too much pride, to admit a few years after they got out that they missed their family, right? They're afraid to reach out to, one of their buddies and say, hey, man, like I'm in a bad place right now. I think that's why you'll hear guys 20 years later like, yeah, best time of my life. Like, dude, I remember you bitching for all 4 of those years, man. That was the best time of your life. Make up your mind. But when you mix those guys in with guys who have been in for a lot longer, right, or if I have non-combat MOSs mixed in with the combat MOSs, right, because we made a decision to take anybody. Anyone who signed that contract, that blank check, it could have been cashed in at the same time. So we'll take any of them. They expand that network, that camaraderie, and a lot of times put meat in the freezer or fish in there too, Yeah. So that's my passion and mission.
Yeah, that's really cool. From a structural standpoint, like how many hunts do you do per year? Like what's the schedule look like?
The schedule is, so hunt-wise, I would say last year alone, I'll bet we took close to 200 people hunting and fishing in 15 different states.
That's awesome.
We had like 37 guys end up going on a dove hunt local. With guys that went out to Idaho, Montana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, all over. We do a lot of air gunning. I took the first all-veteran team to the Rocky Mountain Air Gun Challenge. Rapid Air Works, which is here local in Texas, right down the road. Rapid Air Works and Air Force Air Guns sponsor us, and they do a lot for us. So we, and for our kind of guys, like putting an air gun in guys' hands makes them believers in it. And by the way, if you win the Rocky Mountain Air Gun Challenge, you're going to win $25,000 for PRS. So all the PRS guys out there who right now are mother effing me, like, yeah, that's so gay, it's so gay. There's no match that you win 25 grand on.
Yeah.
Right? If you win bench rest, it's 25 grand. If you win big bore, it's 13 grand. And if you win speed, it's like another 13 or something like that. But it's another tool for guys to put lead in the air with. All your marksmanship fundamentals with your long range guns go apply to the air gun, except for just shorter distances. And they're fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's crazy fun. And so we do that. So we are a have guns will travel outfit, whether it's a small mom and pop hunt, in North South Carolina, or a big, hunt like a elk or mule deer hunt. We do all of it. We've been growing way faster than I think we anticipated. And so we just brought on a grant writer to start down the grant writing path, and then we just rely on our donor base so far.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like a really, really amazing program. I'd love to learn more about it too. Maybe after the show. Like I said, I've never been a big hunter, but I'm definitely interested in getting more into it. Actually, before we get into that, where can people find and support or learn more about
They can find us at thereasonOutdoors.org. So there's a donate button there. There's also a hero application. So if you want to go on a hunt or fish with us, fill that application out and it'll come to us. You can find us on Instagram at _reason_outdoors_ YouTube, The Reason Outdoors, Facebook, The Reason Outdoors. You can send us smoke signal, carrier pigeon, Morse code. But you can find us on all those platforms.
Awesome. From a political standpoint, do you pay much attention to politics? Is that something you track? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on Iran, generally speaking, and our involvement thus far, justification, whether or not it's justified, and then ultimately, what winning or being successful looks like, and just kind of your take on it, generally speaking.
All right. This is going to be semi-long-winded. So, at heart, I'm a war dog. The Ayatollahs have had it coming since the 70s. Why we didn't do something about it then, or after, especially after the Beirut bombing, barracks bombing, is beyond me. Right? So they've had it coming. There's that. However, I work for Marine Special Operations Command a couple times a year, and doing their exercise that's like Rob and Sage, basically, so unconventional warfare. And I was a G chief for that for a while, in many years, and in doing that, I went down this rabbit hole of pre-World War I geopolitics till current time. And what you find unplugs you from the matrix. So how I feel about Iran right now is that I think that the country of Israel has their mitts into everything in our government. And it's pretty disgusting, right? At the end of the day, we are not supposed to give one red cent to a country who did not sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So anybody can argue whatever they want. But I'm pretty sure that's like law, that we're not supposed to aid anyone who hasn't signed that treaty. They haven't signed it. You know who actually let inspectors in? Was Iran. They actually did let inspectors in, but Israel never has. And I think Israel is a big problem, and I think that they need to get their balls clipped. I don't know that right now I'm like, why don't you just dig a frickin' canal and just bypass the whole Straits of Hormuz? Why don't we just do that? Right? But Iran's a problem. I don't know that I have what does winning look like?
Or even just being successful.
Being successful, they had 50 years or more to dig their stuff into solid granite mountains. So I don't know what happened like 8 months ago, whenever it was that we bombed their nuclear sites before, but the entire tone of the administration since then has been completely different, and I do not like it. So I don't know what they have. Is it just are we just covering up, releasing the Epstein files and hanging people from the streets? Because that's what needs to happen. Let's go back to rooting out the corruption. Let's release the files. Oh, it's going to topple world government. So then it does.
Yeah, it means
right?
It's the wrong government if that's the case.
Right. The boomers are upset. Right. Like, I thought that you voted for, so and so. Well, guess what, boomers? When you vote somebody into office, you are their constituent. When your elected representatives, because that's what they are, do not do what they were elected to do, you get rid of them. Our elected representatives are not doing what they were elected to do by the American people. That's it, period. I have no idea what winning in Iran, because that place is ringed by mountains. What at this point, what are we doing, and why? If there's some 5D chess game going on, right, that we don't know about, I would love to know. Because right now, the things that aren't being talked about, for one, 90% of the world's urea, which is fertilizer, comes through the Straits of Hormuz. Guess what didn't come through this spring? Urea. Urea prices are skyrocketed. A lot of farmers probably didn't freaking fertilize their crops the way they should. When is that going to affect us? Harvest. Yeah. This fall. Grocery prices are going to skyrocket, right? There's a lot of second, third order effects that people aren't thinking about, because they're just thinking about the gas prices right now. I have no idea what winning looks like. Iran's not going to capitulate. They're showing that. Is the president getting played right now? Is his staff being played? Why? Why did we go down this road in the first place? Again, should the Ayatollah have died a long time ago? Absolutely. Are they scumbags? Are our brothers and sisters missing limbs or died because of the people they put on the battlefield, or the EFPs and all the stuff that they put in the battlefield over the years? Absolutely. But we should have frickin' ended that BS back in the frickin' 70s when it first started. Yeah. Right? And everything in this world is a mess of our making, because we decide to meddle in everyone's affairs.
I agree. I don't see the I'd say I generally feel the same. Is that agreed? Like 2 or even 5 things can be true at once. Would I rather not see Iran as an entity be the way that it is? Yes. It's also not my country. It's not my fucking business.
Right.
And I agree. Like, if there was a time to justify any military action, the mid-2000s would have been a prime time. Now, I will say to try to be as objective as possible in thinking through that, even though it's justified, I can see, had the United States done similarly to what we're doing now then, if you think about the sitting ducks that existed in Iraq, I mean, like, it would have been very easy for Iran to retaliate way harder than they are now.
100%.
And that could have been a huge problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's at least fair to mention that, is that
Yep.
had we tried to strike them for involving themselves, but it's still on a principled standpoint, like, that's as active war as exists,
Right.
you know, for them to have done what they did in Iraq,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah.
not to mention the power vacuum that created, which led to the emboldening of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis.
Right.
You know, so I agree. Like, I don't think that they're innocent or don't need their ass kicked. Why we're doing it right now and the way that we're doing it is pretty baffling.
Right.
And now, if I've heard some justifications talk about, you know, wanting to loosen the grip of being able to kind of hijack the straits whenever they want. I understand that. That's one of those things, though, like, we don't even really benefit from or have much, you know, product that we import that goes through there. It's a lot of other countries. If anything, Europe should have done that 5-10 years ago, you know,
Right.
long before we did, or asked us to help or whatever.
Right.
At a minimum, probably should have got them on board, since it impacts them far more than it does us, at least right out of the gate. But yeah, I'm right there with you. There's a lot of things that just don't really make sense, and I've not heard a good explanation, and I'm not happy about it.
Right. I'm a Monroe Doctrine fan. I want to return to the Monroe Doctrine, hands off the Western Hemisphere. I think a big problem in this country, and like COVID really showed it, is that American people are ignorant to the fact that most of the world does not like us. We were sending billions of dollars. Hell, there have been billions of dollars in our own country, in Minnesota and all these communities that were being, you know, snatched from the freaking tax, you know, the fraudulently taken from, you know, all these programs, right? But all these countries, let's pull this funding. If we put a fraction of that into Mexico, Central South America, and pulled stuff out of China, right? Pharmacy industry, textile, etc., and we, you know, put that into Central South America, boost those economies. It's going to slow the wave of illegals that want to come here, right? It's going to boost their economies, and you can't mess with the Western Hemisphere. Hands off. Is that a like immediate fix? No, it's more like a 20, 30 year plan, but I think it's one we should start implementing, because there's a lot of money going overseas that doesn't need to be, and we're not appreciated for it anyways.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I mean, we're viewed as the evil empire most places, and I think there's no reason for it. You know, it's like a self-induced wound.
Yeah.
Speaking of COVID, do you see the hantavirus turning into epidemic or pandemic 2.0?
So, I call it the scamdemic. I went on the Buffalo Bills whack radio show during COVID. It was for a veteran, like, you know, the Veterans Day show. A couple 100,000 listeners in upstate New York, and this guy Mike, he's like, you know, my brother got me linked up with him. He's like, talking, thanks for your serving, et cetera, et cetera. And then he said something about the pandemic. I said, oh, you mean the scamdemic, right? And I just started going down the rabbit hole with him of hybrid warfare, what it is, et cetera, and you know, all the stuff that people said I was a conspiracy theorist for, which actually all turned out to be true. I went on that guy's show 3 times, and then his boss was like, hey, don't ever have that guy on again, or I'm going to fire you. Because I'm educating upstate New York on like what's actually going on in this country. Now, this hantavirus, I'm a little nervous right now because my 19-year-old daughter is on a cruise in Greece. So like she got safety brief after safety brief and country briefs for everywhere she's going, and you know, all more briefs because of this Hanta thing. I think that it's another scam. I think it's BS, just like, you know, Lyme's disease, alpha-gal syndrome. all of a sudden boxes of ticks are freaking showing up and people are getting alpha-gal, and that makes you allergic to red meat. Oh, and Bill Gates has fake meat he wants to put on the market. Like, that dude needs to go away permanently anyways. But I think that it is another case of governments meddling in places that they shouldn't be.
Do you fear or think that it will turn into another COVID-style pandemic shutdown and masks and vaccines? And
I would hope that the people of this country learned from the scamdemic. And I feel like we're on the cusp of the Great American Awakening, right? Like, but I don't know if they're waking up fast enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I will say, just from the little bit of digging on it, it seems far less transmittive, if that's a word. Human-to-human transmission is far less likely with it than COVID. So I don't think that it'll turn into much. But
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But you know how, like, there's still people wearing masks now.
I know.
Like, that ship sailed a long time ago, people.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now? And you're in your car.
I know, by yourself. Fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
I guess switching subjects. Did you see any of the UAP UFO file stuff get released? Have you looked at any of that? And what do you think about aliens in general?
So, I went down to Mexico and did Ibogaine.
Really?
With vets, yeah.
How was your experience overall? Was it life-changing like it is for most people?
It was. Yeah. So I was the first recon Marine to do it because Tony did it. He called up Marcus and was like, hey, you need to let recon guys do this. So I was like the first guy who was only a recon Marine go do it. There's been a couple since. The first part of my journey was really dark. Like scary as hell, dark.
Can you describe some of it?
Yeah. When I got up to go pee, laid down. As soon as I stood up, I started shaking, laid down, and I started seeing the kaleidoscope pictures, and then wham, in a dark hallway. Trevor had said you can interact with the medicine, you can ask it questions and stuff. So I just immediately started firing off questions like, do I attract toxic people? Right, that was like one of them. Do this. I'm asking questions, and a black apparition put its finger on my lips and said, shh, that's your problem. You always want to be in charge. You're not in charge. Come with me. Starts pulling me down this hallway. I see doors, and inside those doors are like happy times of my life. Right? I'm like, I want to go in here. And like, no, that's not why you're here. And it pulled me out to almost like the universe, I would say. But it was like more like a dark room, but almost like the universe. But I was standing on like a ring of like almost Saturn type thing. But in the middle was the devil. Right? I was praying for everything that I was freaking worth. And like humanoid face, yellow pointy teeth, 4 horns coming out, right? And color, not like magenta almost, but like not red, a little lighter color red maybe. But like he didn't say nothing to me, but he just looked at me and I'm like praying. I'm like I got way more than I bargained for right now, you know? And then like I went to a place where my family was huddled in a circle, and there was a kid, a little baby, probably like 3 years old, 4 years old maybe, that was saying, let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in. And started crying and apologizing. Some should actually have another child and don't. And like I saw Jesus right then. And when I was younger, I grew up in a very strict, like Christian Reformed household, like almost like frickin' Mennonite almost. Very strict. My grandparents were right off the boat from Holland. And I very distinctly remember when I was a kid, it had to have been a dream, but I was looking out my bedroom window facing town, and I saw like Jesus come out, like almost like how the Catholics have like the pictures with the halo around his head type thing, like arms out, and he said, let the little children come to me. And might have only told like one person that my whole entire life, but in that moment right then, he came to me and said, when you were younger, I told you to let the little children come to me, and you didn't. Why? I was like, all I can ask for is forgiveness. You know? And that, like, was probably, like, the darkest, like, part of it right there. After that, like, I saw the Bawiti tribe in Africa. They were, like, just outside their village, just, like, shaking their heads, like, at me, like, you're doing a good job, like, encouraging, kind of. I saw my ancestors going back like 100 years. Like, if you ever seen the old 1950s, like the painting, the farmer with the pitchfork. Mm-hmm. So picture that, but it was like cause I knew when I was a young kid, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and I just had seen pictures of a couple other ones, but it went way back. I saw my grandfather who passed away last year, but at the time I thought he was going to die, and I saw him and he said, hey, I know that you're going to die, and that's okay. Thank you for everything, I know you're not perfect, but you're still my pop, and I love you. So, I saw some stuff that I had done to my younger brother that I don't know exactly what it was, but I just knew the next morning that I need to apologize to him for something I did when he was younger that affected him, that still affected him.
You don't know what that is?
I don't know what it was, but I just called him and said, hey, look, I don't know what it was, but I know that you're holding on to something, and I'm sorry.
Did he tell you?
He said, dude, I don't know what it is, man. He's like, I don't know what it is. Yeah. But I'm like, there's something, and I'm truly sorry. I saw a path going into the universe that I wanted to go down. And the medicine said that you're not ready to go down that yet. But everyone in that room, there's a couple dev group guys there, SF guy, a raider, me. Everyone in that room's journey intertwined somehow. So my buddy Matt went down that path, down that highway, and he met some people there named Jeff and Matilda, and Jeff took him to this place, this universe. Energy is everywhere, and Jeff told him that in the universe there's dark and light matter. True. Earth is made of light matter, and Earth was a mistake. People in that place come to Earth to suffer, like we do deployments. So this time you could be Ryan Kuperus. The next time maybe you're, Mike. Maybe you're something else. Some people go more than others, but they come here to suffer. And
like as a punishment.
I don't know, maybe
or
to
like
feel
self-development.
Maybe to feel real, maybe self-development or whatever. But they told Matt, we didn't see him on the gray day. They told him, when you get back from here, write a book about what you've seen, publish it, use the proceeds to start a fleet of autonomous fishing vessels with movable oyster beds for the Chesapeake Bay River Basin. Right? I'm like, dude, what do you know about autonomous ships and stuff, or vessels and all? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, you're a freaking dev group, man. And he's like, bro, I was in the desert my whole career, right? Like, I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. He's like, I jumped. Like, I don't die. I don't know anything about that. He's like, well, he's like 30 pages he wrote in his journal about this, right? I'm like, I guess, maybe you're going to, figure it out now, because they said the Earth's population is moving to the coast. Oysters filter the ocean, and it's a quick and renewable resource for protein. So with all that being said, with the aliens and all that, because like, so my 5-MeO DMT, so I saw hell, on the Ibogaine, and 5-MeO DMT, I saw heaven. So like when Trevor says that Ibogaine is the rough sandpaper and the 5-MeO is the polishing compound, he was like absolutely right. And because of that experience, it changed my relationship with my kids. It made me realize that PTSD for me isn't anything combat related. It's an inability for me to connect with my children. And it changed my relationship with my kids, for the better, obviously. So when it comes to aliens, right? I wouldn't be surprised. You like look at the Book of Enoch, the lost books of the Bible there in the Ethiopian Bible. Like I haven't read the Book of Enoch, just been researching it because it's really become a real big thing lately. There's a lot of stuff, right? And when you look at the Bible and it said that Enoch walked with God, he's one of 2 or 3 people that was taken by God. Elijah was another one. I wouldn't be surprised, right, when they talk about the giants and the fallen angels and all that stuff. Like
Nephilim.
the Nephilim and all that. Like it all plays in somewhere in the history of this earth, right? Like when you look at the Old Testament, people don't realize that some of these guys were living 1,000 years, right? There is way more time in the Old Testament than people understand that there was, and where has, how do we not know, that there is some of these ancient civilizations had some remarkable freaking technology.
Yeah. I mean, something that we still can't replicate with modern technology, which is wild.
Right. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Have you watched any of the stuff that's been released, some of the videos and whatever?
Some, yes.
There's one in particular that looks almost like a Christmas tree star floating around. That one to me, I haven't watched all of it. I've just seen kind of similar, just little clips here and there. But it's fascinating stuff for sure. But,
did you ever read about? So I want to say 5-6 years ago, maybe, off the coast of North Carolina, the USS Kearsarge was off the coast of North Carolina, and all the sailors and Marines that were out on the Fantail reported seeing a UFO following them come out of the water and followed the ship. And they were told to not talk about it. Yeah.
Turns out it was a Chinese drone. Who'd have thought?
At this point, who would be surprised? I'll have to don't quote. I know that they were followed by a UFO for a certain amount of time, and they were told not to talk about it, and then it came out anyway. So,
yeah, the one thing, not to cut you off, but that actually makes me more skeptical. I don't know, are you familiar with Bob Lazar? Have you heard of him? Mm-hmm. That special, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon maybe, but talking about seeing and working with spacecraft that had crashed. This is back when he was working with it. Was like the early 80s, I think, but. I guess my point is that any programs or sightings like that are alleged but that were AKA covered up or allegedly covered up, that actually makes me feel like it's less credible, just because if the fucking guys that smoked bin Laden can't not talk about it, I cannot imagine,
Right.
And same thing like 9/11 being an inside job. There is no doubt that there is a ton of things about that don't add up, that seem super fishy and are not really, there's no good explanation for a number of things about that day and who's behind it. And I mean, there's a ton of rabbit holes you can go down on there. I'm not dismissing that. What I have probably the hardest time believing is that anybody can keep their mouth shut.
Right.
Is that the amount of people that it would take to pull any of these things off, whether it's the Kearsarge, 9/11, the crash, alien spacecraft at Area 51, is that nobody shuts up about anything. Congress doesn't keep their mouths closed. They leak stuff all the time.
Terrible.
And it's again, it's just the amount of people it would take to maintain a facility for decades where there are, crashed UFOs that were or still sitting there that they can fly. There's no way that amount of people would not talk about it. Somebody would get a $40 million book deal from there's just no way. Again, that doesn't mean that it's fake, right? And I want to be clear about that. But that's actually, for me, the hardest thing I have believing is that many people can and would be willing to keep their mouths shut about any of these things.
Correct.
Right. It's all very confusing.
Yeah. Or, Antarctica.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is
Same
there
thing.
is there an ice wall
Yeah, it's
there?
like
What's going on
it's
there?
like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like nobody flies over Antarctica.
Yeah.
You know, like I saw a thing like last week. It was a flight map, and when it's like New York to Moscow, and it's like that huge curve that they do. You know, and then they're like, here's right. Why is it a huge curve like that? But if you took the globe and you made it flat. Right, and then I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Right, like sure, like I mean, air currents. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that there's much that would surprise me right now.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things, you know, in our world nowadays between YouTube and AI and everything else that are plausible. You know, that I can be like, yeah, that doesn't seem like total BS, or there's enough things that point to something to be like, man, that doesn't add up, and nobody has a good explanation for it. On the same token, there are a lot of crazy people, you know, that latch on to a thing and
Right.
run with it so far that it discredits, you know, kind of a natural or maybe more logical questioning of something that just, you know, further makes it hard to understand what's real and what's not, and whether or not we're all in a simulation. And especially with as good as AI is now, it's like, I don't know if you can even believe your own eyes, no matter what you're saying. You know,
Right. Like, are we like actually in the Matrix?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of like, and I think originally is kind of unrelated, but makes itself related, is the mathematics behind so many things in space. You know,
Yeah.
And strangely enough, at least to me, it seems strange, but also equally interesting, is the justification that formulas can have as it relates to how many things in our universe almost mathematically can't exist unless they were designed by something.
Correct.
You know, is just like it's mind-bending when you start seeing and going back, you know, a century to you know, Nikola Tesla and you know, all the scientists around, you know, Oppenheimer and Einstein, and, you know, the World War II era scientists, you know, doing nuclear stuff, and then Stephen Hawking and you know, subsequent people since then, and then, you know, the James Webb Telescope teaching us things that you know, breaks all these rules that we thought were, you know, bomb proof and what, you know, and it's just like, the more you learn about it, the more you realize there's so much of our universe, that we don't understand, and it's kind of one of those, like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think our understanding of it is actually so inferior, you know, that it's like it's the tip of the iceberg, if that, you know.
Yeah.
But I just keep seeing this recurring theme of, like, the conditions billions of years ago, what they would have had to have been for our universe to exist to the degree with which it does, at least to our understanding, makes it mathematically laughable that it was an accident.
Right.
You know, that like the same odds, it's like, you know, winning the lottery 37 times in a row. Like, you have better odds of winning that than for our universe to exist the way that it does, you know, type stuff. And it's 100%. All fascinating. You know, it's hard to know which direction is up with a lot of it, but
it is fascinating stuff. A lot of it, you know, we are limited by our own minds.
Yeah.
You know, and the, like, doing the Ibogaine and, you know, and psychedelic modalities, amazing for veterans, you know, TBI, all that stuff, you know, but it opens up that third eye, and makes you just think about things a little bit differently.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would like to do it one more time. Tony's done it like 3 times. I want to do it one more time, eventually.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to get some more healing.
Yeah.
It was definitely worth it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Looking back at everything that you've done, you know, in the entirety of your life, is there a thing that stands out that you're most grateful for?
I am, you know, even though I had a checkered, I guess, career in the Marine Corps. And I have gradually trying to let go, rather, like, of the anger of the way that I was treated. I am still eternally grateful for my time in the Marine Corps, because it's given me everything that I have. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't have started The Reason Outdoors. It's all been a part of my journey in my life. And I'm very grateful for the Marine Corps. Anybody in this country, and that's how a lot of stuff that, especially over the last 8 years, that's been put out there by people, is all BS, because anybody from any walk of life, race, color, creed, religion in this country can join the military and change their trajectory in this life. You can, whether you do whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You can join the military, you can change your life for the better. So I am grateful for that, because it's given me everything that I have. Yeah. I'm grateful for, my family. I can't imagine the amount of stuff I've put my parents through over the last freaking 26 years of my life. So to have, family that, stands by you is freaking
everything.
Amazing. And everything. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you saying that and coming to spend the time. It's been, both your career, life story, and discussion has been fascinating, and I just can't thank you enough for coming to share your story with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
The Reason Outdoors is the organization. Go check it out and support if you can. To the viewer/listener, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you can choke yourself. And until next time, this is Mic Drop.